give the Godfather. To give the Godfather. 2020 was a bitch. What? All I wanna do is this. What? Twin near 21. Come on. A nigga thought he was done. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Last year was a bitch. Good guys took over this shit. All I wanna do is this. New niggas from everywhere. New niggas getting sentenced there. Derell was always aware, but my roast was too hard to bear. There ain't no fucking stopping me. Detroit nigga pocket watching me. I rose the channel from the dead. Turn the bank account from black to red. New niggas tried to make a name. Tried to challenge me and put me to shame. 1 month after another. Can't stop the Godfather. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Find a nigga fucking house soon. Word about a damn auto-tune. Let a nigga beef in peace. When you gonna release a beat? Motherfucker in the manosphere. Lame ass can't keep it real. Called channel 2 cause he couldn't take it. Next week channel terminated. Everybody gotta deal with trolls. Communist bitches with fucked up froze. Nigga lose their damn job over dough. Roman and white fucking slow. Andrew Stewart on the last leg. No far phone from the state and feds. If I ain't talking about you, that mean you ain't working, that's the fucking truth. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Hating ass bitches everywhere. Dick riding in the air. Good guys better be aware. Hating niggas better be aware. Was a bitch. All I wanna do is this. Motherfucking Godfather. 2021. Nigga thought he was done. 2020 was a bitch. All I wanna do is this. Motherfucking Godfather. 2021. What? A nigga thought he was done. Welcome, everybody. This is Derell with the Derell the Rebirth channel. I'm happy to be here today. Again, I've been on fire doing a lot of videos this week. I have not been live. I don't remember the last time I went live, particularly this week, as I have. I have enjoyed having fun going live. You know, this YouTube stuff is definitely fun. I enjoy it. And so we're going to be discussing, because I've been in the manosphere like I was back in the day. And before I get started, I'm going to have people understand the type of space that they're in. First of all, this is the Black manosphere. This is a space that is family orientated. This is a space that believes in the Black community. It believes in the Black family. This is a space that believes in Black love. This is a space that values the opinions, the talents, and the intelligence of Black women. And we definitely want to reinforce equitable and positive interaction between Black men and Black women for the sake of betterment for the community itself. This is the Black manosphere. This is an alternative to the manosphere, in which if you don't think you fit in, you don't think your rhetoric is good, you've been disrespected, people calling you simps, telling women you hit the wall, all of those things that a lot of those goofy, no sex getting ass Negroes talk about because they're mad and upset. This is an alternative where you can come and be respected, where you can come and give your opinion. I don't have to agree. I don't believe in echo chambers. They love echo chambers. And the video that I'm going to show you today with one BGS Ibmor is going to exemplify what the hell I'm talking about. So again, this is the manosphere, headed by yours truly, Derell, with Derell the Rebirth. You can also check me out on the Sectors TV. And you can also check me out on Derell Life Solutions. Okay. So with that being said, we're going to get started. So I point that out so that it can be known to those that want to know. Basically. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about Mr. BGS Ibmor. Okay. We are going to talk about Mr. BGS. And for those who don't know him or not familiar with him, I'm pretty sure you heard of him one way or the fuck another. He is an old, decrepit ass man who's in his 60s, who has received instant gratification from an emotional standpoint from younger men that don't know any better and young men, because he goes around finding in his old retired age, finding research and different things to fit a narrative. He is the one that constantly talks about gynocracy. He talks about a fucking 87 octane, 89 octane, 90. He compares women to gasoline ratings. He tries to talk about the inability of Black women to make good decisions. He has a Wikipedia on Ibmor, which is damn near 3 paragraphs long. It's the shortest Wikipedia I ever seen in my life. He is a quote unquote intellectual in the space. But in all essence, he is a fake and he's a fraud. And he doesn't have the credibility nor the practical experience or education in real life to substantiate his claim to any of the bullshit that he talks about. He's an online character, just like others, who has an inability to connect with other Black people and women. That's why he's been divorced. That's why his kids don't talk to him. He actually begged twice for money to pay his cable bill and to pay his light bill. This is what this Negro does. I can't believe the time I heard him actually say I need money to pay my cable bill. This nigga also talked about he need money to pay his light bill. He said that shit. But you're supposed to be this intellectual. And one thing I noticed about fake intellectuals, they get very pissed off at real intellectuals who laugh at them. They get mad when you challenge them. They get upset. They get their panties in a bunch. They start yelling, screaming, and hollering because they want to monopolize the mic. They do that. That's what Mr. BGS does. A lot. BGS does. All the time. BGS does. And so today, I'm going to talk about how I debunked BGS. And I'm going to give proof of how he was debunked. And I'm going to show you how manosphere tactics can be very elusive, very deceptive, and very convincing if you don't do your homework. So I'm going to start by playing this video and letting you see for yourself.
Babysitting, socialization, and education, right? Socialization is the biggest part.
Yeah.
How do you socialize, homogenize a country? It's through the school system, which is why they when they want to integrate you, they integrated the schools first.
Right. Well, actually, they integrated the military first, but that's neither here nor there. I get what you're
I'm talking about the general population. Okay?
Right. So you're talking about in terms of socializing. Yes. That's why they integrated the schools
in other words, the military doesn't need socialization because guess what happens in basic training?
You get broken. Yeah, you get socialized. Okay.
We're talking about children, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to see what does that have to do with the point? Like I said, if you're a nation that need numbers, you need bodies, you would rather have single mothers than no mothers.
Has it worked?
You would rather have single mothers than no mothers, BJ. Like if you don't,
you're gonna have the same amount of children that you have now, or the same amount of children produced where you have now, whether there's welfare or not. It's called a biological.
That's what I'm saying. What's the rub here? That's what I believe.
There is no rub. See, at the end of the day, personally, I really don't care. It's up to them. The thing is, that's why they're changing. We talk about the state.
Okay.
And if you look at urbanization, if you look at a demographic shift, you go back and look at the Mouse Utopia. Then that tells you about the demographics and exactly what's going to happen. That's how come they paid Calhoun to run that experiment 26 times. It exactly maps out maps along with the human demographic shift. So basically, the post-industrial civilizations are actually going to decline anyway. They always have.
But this is the thing. I think we're at a tipping point here with. I just think we're on a verge of something that we've never experienced before because of technology. I think that we're still developing and evolving as a species, just as a human family, and the way we live and interact is changing and evolving to accommodate that reality. I mean, think about it. You have social media now, right? Like
it's happened before. It's not new. It's happened before.
No, I'm saying not what you're talking about to this level of technology and stuff like that.
No, I'm talking about the demographic shift and decline. It's happened before.
Oh yeah. I mean that's part of a pattern, right?
Technology has just made it global instead of local.
Okay.
It's made it global instead of local. So the same things you see happening here.
Now you see that I'm arriving on the scene.
It's been happening here slower, but things you look like in Asia, it's happening a lot faster because they got the technology later and they got the technology faster. So it's happening faster there than it is here. But the thing is, at the end of the day, they're trying everything they can to stop it. But the thing is, they can't, and they know they can't. So they're patching it up. Like 40% of your births, 40% of your births actually go out the window through abortion. So if you try to cut off abortion, guess what you're going to save? You might not get the whole 40%, but you can get 20.
This line has just stated 40% of all births are in abortion. That means out of 100% of women who give birth, 60% have the children, 40% have abortions. That's a goddamn lie. And he has no research, absolutely no research to validate that. And when he's around his crew, they take what he says as gospel. And he's wrong and he's lying.
It's going to stabilize your birth rate. That's why they did it. Texas is, as soon as the year after Texas implemented the heartbeat bill, guess what happened? Guess what happened? They had a bumper crop of babies being born.
Okay.
So this is, if you understand the needs of the state, you understand the structure, you understand the environment, you can predict. I predicted this shit 6 years ago.
Yeah. Now,
me and Carib had an argument about this. Okay.
Right. So, but here's my thing, because when I look at, I'm more concerned about Black people, right? So my thing is, what does that have to do with the narrative that's being peddled by the manosphere, right? In regards to Black women, I would like to get into
which narrative. There's a whole bunch of narratives. Which one?
To be frank, the narrative that Black women put Black men out the home for welfare. That's always been the rub with me and you, BJ. I've never agreed with that.
Okay, guess what, man? That, in other words, that's a euphemism, right? About being put out of the home, right? Really what it means is that Black women preferred the check over their men.
And that's not true.
It is true.
I don't think that's
not true.
It is
historically not true.
It is historically
no,
true.
it's not. That you have to look at things in full scale from a socialistic standpoint of what they were dealing with, the issues in which they had to consider, and the fact of the issues of the men economically in American society. If we're going to debate things, let's debate things in full scale and not from a genderized.
Now, notice I came in when I had a chance to interject. He interrupted me the whole goddamn time. He was like, no. But he complained he didn't get a chance to speak. But as soon as I interjected myself, he interrupted the whole fucking time. Let me continue.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on, brother. Hold on, D. Derell. Hold on. Listen, we can't hear. The audience not gonna be able to hear, and I'm not gonna be able to hear what's going on. Let's go one at a time. BGS said that he basically the women preferred the check.
He did.
Okay. So AMIRI, can I comment on that, AMIRI? Can I please?
Yeah, go ahead.
On that? Okay.
Go ahead.
So when you looked at the situations in regards to the quote unquote fallacy about African American women choosing a chick that kept them in poverty over a man, we have to understand that during that time, particularly in urban communities and also in rural communities, that was a very high Black male unemployment rate which also greatly exists today. Okay, so in that position, that was an environment in which women were forced to do things for survival. Because even though those women accepted those chicks, they still were seeing and dating and mating and procreating with Black men. They didn't throw Black men away. The issue is that the issues of Black men being more economically viable in the situation. So this whole fallacy about, we just gonna choose a chick that kept you in poverty. Okay, this was a matter of survival. It had nothing to do with
they chose.
I'm going to make you leave. And there's no research. There's no research to substantiate that.
Yes, there is.
Because number one, there's no brother.
Again, he interrupted me the whole time. He was humming. Yeah, right. Yeah. As I was saying things, he got triggered very easily. To say he's a so-called intellectual, he can't handle pushback. He cannot handle being criticized. He can't handle rebuttal. And this is your intellectual? BGS Ibmor? A man who has no credibility in his failured life? Going up against Derell? I accomplished more in my 20s than what BGS accomplished in his whole life. And I'm willing to bet the bank on that. But let me continue.
Brother, when you talk, I didn't say one word.
Right.
Brother, can you please show me some respect?
No,
I did not speak when you spoke, brother. I did not speak.
Derell,
brother, hold
on, y'all. I don't want to have to mute because we got other people on the panel. So, Derell, go ahead and finish your point. Then I want and then LB.
So the thing about it, when you look at the statistics, okay, the statistics show that yes, during that time there was a decline in regards to marriage rates and things of that sort. But we're not looking at all I'm asking is to look at all the dynamics that contribute to that and not look at it from a finite standpoint of the fact that, oh, I'm going to kick you out the house so I can get a check that actually keeps me in poverty. You see the thing about it that the women were not thriving from these benefits. I had an argument the other night. Someone saying some disingenuous things in the manosphere about women getting over $130,000 worth of government benefits. That's a lie. See, so my thing is we have to quit being disingenuous instead of trying to fit narratives and speak the truth. That's all I'm asking. Let's speak the truth in full scale. I challenge you to do that. I yield.
Okay. All right. I want to jump in real quick about the whole, women accepting the check and stuff like that. I think that white society were very adept, especially the conservative movement. They were very adept at vilifying and racializing welfare and those policies. I think the problem I have with BGS's assessment is that it doesn't take into account the stressors that was already existing between Black male and female relationships at that time. And if we're going to say that sisters prefer the check over their man, then let's also acknowledge that many men value their independence over actually having to take care of a family that they weren't necessarily economically equipped for. This is something that was called poor man's desertion. And it was a phenomenon where men would, hey, I'm going to get some cigarettes and never come back. It was that kind of stuff going on too. So if we're going to say that, we got to look at the inverse of the other side of it. Go ahead, Cerulean.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Where did these men go if they were kicked out of the house? Because I'm gonna
That's
prove
what I want to know.
Where did they go?
Exactly.
Because from 1950 to about 1980, America thought they cured homelessness.
She brought some knowledge to the table.
So you can look that up. That's verifiable. That's the first thing. Second thing, do you know that it was a Black woman who took the federal government to court in 1968 to knock down the no man in the house rule and won?
Yeah. Let's see. Now the thing about that no man in the house rule, that was a racialized way to really what that was that because in this conversation, you know, we get it peddled as if this was a liberal plot, but it actually was that was when, like, all legislation is bipartisan.
Right.
So in order to get the bill through, that's a component that the conservatives at that time implemented, the no man in the house rule. And the thing about that no man in the house rule was that wasn't just relegated to the man or the husband or the father. That was to any able-bodied man in the woman's house who was able to operate as a surrogate father. So if you say you're going to have to prove not only that these women put the men out, but they put their sons out.
Right,
that was
they put their uncles out.
Yeah, that was it was anybody man. And the other thing about it too was not only did the man have to be in the house, it was if this black woman was having any sexual relationship with any man anywhere. So if a woman went to Africa and was having a relationship, that would have been grounds for them to terminate her benefits. That's why that woman won that 1968 case, because it was.
He started in 1935.
Right.
Exactly.
So
That was because of. Well, hold on. That was because of Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
Especially those below the Mason-Dixon line started employing black laws.
Wait, say that again, Cerulli. I couldn't hear you.
So you're talking about, this is post-Reconstruction, where states started employing black laws and black codes and all of these things.
Right.
Well, you know that and she's actually right on that stat about 1935, and a lot of that had to do with the Bacon-Davis Act. That
before, because I don't want to, I don't want to go monologue it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, just let's keep it in between.
Scripted actual law.
Okay. All right. Let's get BGS back in here. Listen, y'all. I want to give BGS.
So now he's going to talk again.
They're not going to do it, man. They're going. I'm going to talk for like a minute, and they're going to.
Brother, you talked 30 minutes before anybody got up here. So what do you mean?
So what I'm talking about?
So you talk. No, I'm just saying. I mean, let's not pretend you didn't have a monologue for like 45 minutes before I even got up here. So let's not be disingenuous about it.
I was talking to who?
You were talking to us. You were talking.
Hold on, Derell, because hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. To be fair, me and BGS we're having a conversation.
It wasn't a monologue. We have a conversation.
Yeah, we were having a conversation.
Okay, so you had a conversation. You stand corrected. I stand corrected.
Well, then you don't want me to talk. Can I? Oh, okay, man. What are we going to say? No, it's okay, man. He's not going to stop.
I am letting him talk.
Hold on. I don't know what's going on. It seems like y'all two have some history going or something, but
we don't. I don't.
But listen. Let's let BGS. He's well studied up on the things he's talking about. He's far from an intellectual hack. He's probably the most serious person as far as intellect goes in the manosphere. So let him lay out his points. So
give me a time limit, man. Because I don't want to, I don't want to go monologue it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, just let's keep it in between. Okay. 2 minutes. Yeah, I guess.
Okay. If you read the report, and I have, and I've got a book called "Freedom Is Not Enough" that actually goes through the foreground, the background, why they made decisions, who actually wrote the books and actually helped him write the report. Those are black sociologists that actually helped him write the report, like Clark, like Frazier, and others. Okay, there was black sociologists helping write the report. He didn't
notice how long he talks
because he didn't know anything. He knew he didn't know anything, right? Let me go find the best people I can find and actually help me put together this report. It was actually supposed to be a study for a study, right? In other words, this is happening. I have no idea why it's happening. Let's bring people in, get their ideas, and then we can actually put together a panel, which they did like 3 years later. They actually put a panel together to actually really study the problem and see what's happening and give remedies, right? And his basis was he didn't blame black people for being fucked up. He blamed white people being fucked up. That's where he said 300 years of inhumane treatment. Okay, this is why the black family was in the state that it was in, right? And if you want to integrate these people, okay, which are in a matriarchal pattern, what you need to do is somehow turn that around. And how do you do that? How do you get these people to fit into the greater society? That was his thing, because that's what he was tasked with. Okay,
Mhm.
his remedy was actually, okay, if you want a greater society, what we're going to have to do is give black men, number one, a male dominated atmosphere, right? And number two, start specializing and giving these black men jobs and training so they can fit into the greater society. That was his prognosis, his whole prognosis. He never
Mhm.
blamed women. He never blamed black men. He wasn't. He never said that it was their fault. He said it was clearly white people's fault. Okay, clearly white people. That's in the. If you read the opening paragraph, he says that. But if you want to integrate these people, because guess what's happening? Only 3% of people are going to be on farms. Okay, you can't. They have no jobs down in the rural area. They're going to have to mix into the greater society, which is the urban environment. How do you make this work? That was the whole thing. Which I said to FD Signifier, right? Guess what you got out of the Monahan report? You got the Kerner Commission. All your equal opportunity, all your affirmative action came out of Kerner Commission, which is a direct reflection of the Monahan report. Without the Monahan report, you don't get the Kerner Commission. You don't get your FHA. You don't get training programs. You don't get more funding for schools. You don't get a whole bunch of other things that you got. That you got if you didn't have the Monahan report. The report was not to. It was not a study to fix black people. Let's say, okay, we have a problem. This is the problem as we see it. We brought on these black sociologists in here to study this. Okay, we need to go further. It was actually get the government in action to fix the problem. That's what it was for.
It brought in the
All right,
morning,
now let me say
the
this because
Moynihan report again.
I mean,
I like
I
to
mean,
say something, but go ahead.
okay, yeah, separate and apart from the whole welfare thing. When I look at the so-called breakdown of the black family, the black community, this is what I have a problem with. I think it's disingenuous to hear when people say things like, well, single mothers created the ghetto. Black women are responsible for, the breakdown of the black family. I think you had a whole host of social forces taking place that helped to destabilize the black family. Like, for example, the Great Migration, where these black people left the South and integrated into these northern urban city centers, looking for work. And as we all know, the urban environment simply isn't conducive to family living. That's why they created the suburbs. Another part of it is I look at the Vietnam War, which those draft review boards, the drafting process was wholly racialized and discriminatory against black men. And I even have a document where Robert McNamara at that time, they're talking about it, and they're talking about the
That was not a deal.
wall where in Greenville, 1918, they were actually making a city ordinance that mandated black women work. So, but you are correct on that. A lot of the benefits that black men fought for themselves through the civil rights movement in terms of employment and stuff like that, a lot of it actually went towards white women. But that's not black women's fault.
So if you give white women more money, guess what black women are going to do? They're going to take the deal. They took the deal.
You said black women are going to?
Yeah, they're going to take the deal. They took the deal.
What do you mean in terms
deal?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
In other words, if they're going to get more financial benefits for them and their children, through the state, they're going to take the deal. They did.
Wait.
That was poverty, man. What are you talking about?
They took the deal.
That was they didn't take anything.
I don't blame them for taking the deal. They took the deal.
Okay, they made a decision for poverty. That's what you're telling me.
And it don't matter why
it's poverty. It's no deal. That was not a deal, brother. Listen to me, brother. When you're in a desperate situation, you got children. Your husband or whoever you had does not have a job. You can't keep the lights on. What choice are you supposed to make?
I'd like to make an observation, though, right? Because the civil rights was really more about, no taxation without representation, equal protection of the law, et cetera, and those things. In essence, what undergirds a welfare state is long ago, because in the old French law, that the state should provide certain level of services for its citizens who pay into the system in exchange for that taxes, right? It's not an actual deal. It's something that is, that's why they call them entitlements. They're actually entitled to it because they've already paid for it. Like, so it's not a deal that they made. It's not a contractual deal.
Okay. I mean,
The argument makes no deal, makes no sense. And as it relates to a correlation to the Moynihan report, the Moynihan report was not created to measure mating or relationship decisions in regards to the viability of the black family as far as who's choosing to be with who. That was not his intent.
No.
So I don't get this when you're reading this research, but then we don't talk about the accumulation of the data. We don't talk about the standard error that was created because it wasn't perfect. We don't talk about the flaws. So again, as if we're going to have an intellectual discussion, why can't we discuss these statistics and so forth in full scale? We have yet to do that in this space. We picking and choosing what fits a narrative, and then we run with it. And then we take raw scores and raw percentages and we run with it. But we don't talk about the context.
I mean, even if you examine the current, like the current commission, right? One of the champions, the Eisenhower, okay, who integrated the military. Okay, that's why you have, if I'm not mistaken, I think his name is Milton S. Eisenhower, who was some kind of relation to President Eisenhower, who is one of the main authors. In fact, you have a group called the Milton S. Eisenhower Foundation, right? And that's where you get the whole Greater Society Act.
Place anyway. So let them go ahead and say what you have to say, y'all. Let them talk.
In other words, the best thing was to do is stay with your men.
He was bitching again about not being able to speak.
Everybody's got to suffer, right, until times get better. Okay, they were trying to fix it. They're trying to fix it. Okay, the thing is to work with your man. Okay, if you feel that the deal is better on the other side, take it. But don't go back and point at the man and said, okay, I'm taking it because he ain't no good. If he's no good, okay, fine, accept that. Stop blaming him. If you're going to take the deal and you take the deal because it's better for you, better for your children, I can accept that. I have no problem with that. But stop pointing back at the man and said he just upped and left. Okay. You had been with him for almost 200 years. Okay. So all of a sudden you get a chance to bounce, you bounce. Okay, fine, bounce. It's okay. And the thing is, it's never gotten better. If it had stayed, if the out of wedlock rate and the welfare rate had stayed level, then okay, well, then Moynihan would have been wrong. Guess what? Guess what happened? Even Moynihan said, I think he said the what is it, the 30th anniversary of the Moynihan report. He said he underestimated what the effect or the problem. He underestimated it. Anything. He didn't think it would get this bad. He had no clue it would get this bad. But but basically the black family, I always call black people the bird, the canary in the coal mine, right? Canary in the coal mine. There was always something else going on, right? The urbanization and demographic shift and all that kind of stuff, the industrialization affected white people the same way, just not as fast. They were the canaries in the coal mine. But the thing is, this is what happened. This is what they did. You can, there's a whole bunch of reasons why women took the deal. Okay, instead of waiting till things got better with their men. Okay, the black unemployment was going down. Okay, it should have kept the same pattern it has for the last 200 years. So if you took the deal, you took the deal.
Okay, now
that made no sense. That made absolutely no sense.
All right, D-Derell, hold on. D-Derell, hold on. I want to say something. Hold on. Okay. I want to say something. Damn, made me lose my train of thought, brother. Let me think. Okay, so damn, I done lost my train of thought. Go ahead, D-Derell. I got to think about what I was.
So we're going to sit here and say there was an effective way to measure the decisions that black women made, whether or not to keep the men that they were with. Mm-hmm. But then you go about with continuing to quote research that didn't measure that.
Okay, why
That
not?
makes no
Why not?
it
Why
has
not?
no, the mining hand report
Why
has
not?
no
Why not?
validity.
No,
But
no.
brother,
And
you that, wait a minute. I
oh,
thought you
no,
said we were
no,
not
no,
going to interrupt each other.
I'm asking you a question, right?
Okay, but I thought we wasn't going to interrupt each other. But go ahead and ask me a question.
You
Go
made
ahead.
a statement that it didn't show it. Okay, I'm asking you why not? Clarify that. Why not?
Because that wasn't the intent of the research.
Okay.
You're only speculating, BGS.
Okay.
It had no, when you read the mining hand report, there is nothing in the mining hand report that specified the reasons Black women made as far as their decisions to choose to keep their family together or any dynamics in regards to relationships. It did not measure that. It has that is not that whole mantra is not applicable to the Monahan report, nor to the decisions of Black women.
All right, now
and also with that, when you're talking about the fact that Moynihan stated 30 years later and so forth that it actually was worse, I think that's a bit disingenuous from yourself and Moynihan report without necessarily identifying all legislation that was used, such as redlining, inability to access capital, education, drugs, targeted by police, all the injustices that created the Black community being worse. So in essence, that research didn't do a damn thing to give rise to why the community, because in the research, it did not specify, nor did it give a prognosis to these other things occurring that contributed to the Black community being worse 30 years later.
All right. Well, listen. I want to say this because I now remember what I want to say. Okay. Now here's the thing. So let's say we take BJS's assertion or assumption at face value that this is what the women did. They preferred the men over the check. The question that I would pose as a response to that is, okay, fair enough. How is that a relevant conversation to be had in 2022? Meaning, in other words, what does that have to do with Black women today who weren't even around for that? That's number one. And then the other question I have is BGS aware?
One at a time.
Okay, well, go ahead.
In other words, it's called precedence, right? In other words, once it gets into the culture, you don't fix it. Guess what? It gets worse and worse and worse every year. Okay. In other words, the same effects that started back then are still in effect in 2022, are they not?
I mean, if you say they are,
I'm asking you.
The assertion. You know what I'm saying? But okay, that's for the sake of argument.
Hold on a second. I'm asking you. Do you
still
see the same effects now?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, now.
Right. That's what's still relevant.
Okay, now here's the next question. Are you aware of the congressional hearings ran by Senator Robert Byrd, who was a Democrat, used to be a part of the KKK and everything, where they had these congressional hearings in I can't remember the exact year, but the vein of the vein of the congressional hearings were to ascertain the level of fraud that was being perpetrated by these Black women against the government by getting welfare, because what the premise that they were operating with off of in these congressional hearings was not that women were accepting a check and putting their men out for welfare. What they were saying was that the women were getting the welfare check, still had a man in the home, and they were using the money to support their families. Are you aware of those congressional hearings?
I am aware of them. Okay.
Okay. So what would you say to that? Because even in those congressional hearings, they used a very specific term to characterize the Black men that these women were taking care of, and they called them paramours. So even at that time, the government isn't saying what you're saying. They're saying the opposite. They're saying that these women actually did have a man in the home, and were saying they didn't just to get the benefits and take care of their families, which is counterintuitive to your narrative.
In other words, it would sneak him in. There's a reason for the man in the house rule. Okay, there's a reason for it, right? Because AFDC, if you go back and look, I got a good book. I can't remember the name. Talked about the child support system. She actually came from Minnesota. She actually helped Bill Clinton rewrite the welfare reform bills. Okay, welfare reform bills in 1996. She actually wrote a whole 500-page book, right? And she was saying she actually tracked AFDC, which is a very small segment, but she actually tracked it, right?
Okay.
AFDC was actually in 1935 to help widows and orphans, right? And it actually expand upon that, make it federal, right? In other words, then you had to have been married, and you would have to have either the husband die or the husband abandon you to get welfare. This is white women, okay? So they expanded that. They expanded that to desertion, right? So if whether the man was in the house or not, where the man was around the block, it didn't matter, right? If she wanted welfare, what is she gonna have to say when she walks into that office? Two things to get her welfare: either he's what, dead, or what,
Deserted,
or deserted, right? So guess what? If you want your welfare, you got to check. Unless you can produce a death certificate, which you're gonna have to check off. Deserted. Okay, and there's tons of evidence in that book where I forget where the judge was. I think the judge was down south someplace where he actually told the women that to get their welfare, they're going to have to produce that man and find out where he was and to get your welfare. If you couldn't find out where he was, then you're not going to get it. But if you did find out where it was, he was going to put that man in jail for 5 years. And this went on and on and on and on about the man in the house rule until they didn't change the man in the house rule until I think it was they tried it with TANF, but they really didn't change the man in the house rule like that until effectively till like 1991.
So okay, when let me ask you,
AMIRI, I got a question for you, AMIRI.
All right, go ahead.
No,
Okay.
Go
ahead, brother. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Cerulean been waiting. Yeah, go ahead, Cerulean. Well, hold on one second. Chaos, drop the link in the chat. Renaissance Man want to come up.
The landmark decision for the man in the house rule is called King versus Smith. United States Supreme Court, 1968, strikes it down. What happens then becomes states' rights. So states get to exercise what they call statutory privilege.
Of opportunities. We have to look at what let's look at that. And also we look at the middle class for the percentage of black women. Let's go with the working class. Okay. Most of those women who probably were in the working class were probably married, right?
Right.
Okay. So the working class, to lack of a better word, is basically just a step above the poverty level, right?
Right.
Now, what made those women not choose the deal? I mean, let's look at that. And also, we look at the middle class. For the percentage of black women that were in the middle class, they were married.
Right.
Why didn't they choose the deal? The minute percentage that were upper class or rich, why didn't they choose the deal?
Well,
but then we're talking about poverty. So this is a matter of poverty. This is a lack of resources, lack of opportunities. We have to look at what triggered the environment to even think and have that thought, think and to even make or consider that decision, whether you chose to take the deal or take that or not. We got to look at the circumstances. We have to look at the issues of that were going on. We got to look at survival. We have to look at the fact of stress, the anxiety of not knowing where the next meal is coming from, or the bill's going to be paid. Is the rent.
Now, and you know what? I agree with that. Now, I do have another question that I want to ask BJS, and then we have one sister on the panel. I'm gonna let her go ahead. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and let her say what she got to say. Then Renaissance Man. So BJS, here's my question. Right. Aside from many of that, we have the so-called quagmire that we have now. My question would be, from the manosphere's perspective, what is the role and the responsibility of Black men to reestablish and rebuild their communities? I think, like it or not, we're faced with a situation where men are going to have to make sacrifices in order to move the needle and move the ball forward for the race of their people. That's just the way I look at it.
Why?
What do you say?
Why?
What you mean why? Because it matters. It matters.
In other words, only 10% of your boys can read a reading level. Why should they try to save the Black community?
You don't think that's so whose fault is that? Are you saying that's the fault? Is that the fault of the community, or is that a fault of
the whole community, especially with the people in charge, which are Black women?
Black women are in charge?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. They're in charge of
the community. Yes.
Hold on. They're in charge of the public education system. Listen, hold on.
Are you going to ask the question, or are you going to answer your question? Which one is?
Well, I want to ask the question, but I do want to also add a comment to it.
Can you add the comment after I answer the question?
All right, well, go ahead, BJS. Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, and this has been proven. This is what Moynihan said back in 1965 about giving Black men a male-dominated atmosphere to learn and thrive in and succeed in. Right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You see that in single-sex Black high schools, right? Where basically they're succeeding beyond anything. It don't matter what the city they're in, where the boys come from, right? Instead of being a 39% graduation rate, it's 98%. 99 over 90% go to college and go on to do well, right? How come the society, Black community, and Black women especially, are not pushing for something like that to actually fix their boys and fix their men so the men can lead? Help them, help them help you.
Wait a minute.
Okay, all right.
Wait a minute, man.
No, hold on. I'm talking to
Hold on. Let me say what.
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet, but good. Okay.
I think when we're looking at the education, education in America. Listen, America, just from the policy standpoint, has made the decision that they were going to invest more money in the prison industrial complex than in the school system. We already know about the school to prison pipeline. I think it's unfair to saddle any systemic failing on the backs of Black women. That's number one. Number two, if we're going to take reports like this, like the CDC report that said that Black men were the most involved fathers, then I think we should saddle the fathers of these boys with the responsibility of helping their boys be up to reading level, so they can actually be productive and know how to read and write and comprehend and process and internalize what they're reading. What we've seen is that at every instance where there's a failing on the part of Black men or Black boys, it seems we always want to defer and blame it on the women. No, as men, let's take responsibility for our gender, and let's get our boys up to snuff when it comes to reading and education. How about that? Lexi, you go ahead.
Oh, all right.
Hold on, BJS. I'm gonna let Lexi go.
Go ahead, man. I'm gonna mute myself, man. Let me go get a drink of water.
Okay, go ahead, Lexi. Born out of that backlash. Hold on, sir. Okay, BJS. How did they do that?
Civil rights was that not Black men?
But there was Black women too doing that too, though.
Civil rights was there not Black men? Okay.
It was Black women too, though.
So the Black women out there rioting in 1967 and 68, the reason you got the Kerner Commission and financial stuff. Okay. How many Black women went to jail during civil rights?
I don't know,
What?
I don't know,
Plenty
but
did.
come on, we both know
Now
that.
he's going to
Both
pretend
know
black
that
women
everybody's
didn't
not
participate in
co-ed.
the Civil Rights
Wait,
Act.
y'all
Civil
All right,
rights
if
movement.
we gonna be
wait.
disingenuous, man, there's no
Diane
sense
Man, this
in
is a
trying to-
disingenuous
How was that
conversation.
disingenuous? Hold on, y'all. Let's not get on. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna start.
It's all right, man.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
Please.
if they start over talking, start.
Five. Which one?
Anyone, because I asked you about an
No.
hour ago, where did all these black men go that got kicked out of the home? And you
This brother sat here and pretended that no black woman did anything of substance. Forget Fannie Lou Hamer. Forget the wives of the husbands, like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, Thurgood Marshall, and others. They didn't have shit to do with the civil rights movement. Just, forget the women and the entertainers who invested and put money to support our cause. I don't get this. And they call this man an intellectual. And he can't see any topic thoroughly. It's embarrassing.
still never answered that
I
one.
didn't say what they answered. They went to the street. They were
Federal
empowered.
government came and picked them up in a milk
They
truck.
didn't go to the street because, again, like I told you, from 1950 to the 1980s, America thought it all but cured homelessness. So where did they go?
No, they didn't all but kill homelessness.
They
were whatever you want to be. But if you want them to marry you, then this is the kind of why. Go look it up.
Yeah, we should look that
I
up.
definitely don't believe you.
Go look
That's
it up.
what I.
Well,
That's what I have a problem with.
Do you have any stats to actually
upset?
look at the curve, right? Because I look at curves, right? The stuff didn't start till in the 70s, right? And basically, even when I was a young man, right, the marry out rate was only 1%. 1%. What about
Lord?
And this is 1970, right? I think this is
no. This was in the 1980s. It was 1%. Even in the 1980s.
That small?
The curve,
1%.
That, but see, that's what I'm saying. That's what I have.
Go look it up. Don't believe me? Go look it up.
Yeah, we should look that
I
up.
definitely don't believe you.
Go look
That's
it up.
what I.
Well,
That's what I have a problem with.
Do you have any stats to actually refute that?
Refute what?
What I just said. You don't believe it. You have any stats to refute it?
Well, you just brought it
the
up.
goalpost, BGS.
Like,
AMIRI wasn't even
you
talking
just
about
brought up a
that.
spontaneous topic and asked me
Yeah,
do I got stats to refute?
Here we go.
Hey, y'all.
That I don't even know that you're saying is true. Really?
I said, go look it up.
Yeah.
So look, listen. I want to hold on because we got a new person on the panel, but I do want to give the sisters space to speak.
AMIRI, if I'm going to be the hot seat, I want to be able to finish my thought.
Okay, well, go ahead and finish your thought right quick. Y'all please stop interrupting. Come on, man.
No sense in
Again, he want to finish his thought.
Yeah, you're right.
Uninterrupted.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why am I here? Okay, stand up for the manosphere. You asked me a question, I try to answer it. We get 4 people jumping in. Okay,
right.
Is that fair?
No, it's not fair. Y'all, come on, y'all got to stop jumping in. Let him finish saying what he's saying.
Interrupted everybody.
You talked about exotic cooch. That's where it came from. I didn't bring it up. Okay,
right.
And I said, how long has it been? He said, since the 60s. I said, no, it's not. It hasn't been. Okay, and it's still fairly low. Okay, it didn't explode until the 90s. Okay, that's when it started.
Okay, you're talking about the access to exotic cooch?
Exotic cooch, yes.
Okay, so that's one component of it. My larger point, I'm using that as the lightning rod, but the larger point that I'm making is since that time, black men have not like black men have been laying their life on the line for the community or whatever ever since then. Like I think men from the manosphere today are very much entitled and don't want to have to do the hard work of
get out of this fantasy that we
wash your face and clean your room, make your bed and all that stuff. My dad was the one who came home and said, did you do your homework? Let me see it. I'm the checker in a perfect world. So what BGS basically is saying that if the mother, the woman in this instance, is the primary caretaker of the child from birth till it's time to go to school, she should be the one instilling all of the core values, right? And the father is the checker. He's the one who comes in and checks to make sure that the core values have been instilled. Here's the problem. That's what Black men are offering Black women. In today's modern society, is very, very simple. There are 7 major principles that Black men should and basically do come equipped with, for the most part. Those are worth their weight in salt. Those 7 basic principles are protection, of course, provision, leadership, discipline, guidance, structure, and order. Those are the 7 basic principles that Black men of today's society come equipped with. All of us on this panel have those 7 basic imprints implanted in us. Here's the only one problem that exists in the modern society dealing with the modern Black woman. The modern Black woman only wants 2 of the 7 principles. Those 2 of the 7 principles are, you fucking gorilla ape that jumps off the porch so she can act the way she wants to act, meaning your protection, or you come out of your ass pocket and pay for her way of life, meaning your provisions. And with that, I'll pause for reactions or comments.
So the general, you lost me on the last 2 minutes and so forth. But the general, you're talking about a perfect world, but we live in an imperfect world, and that's the reality. So can we please, for once, get out of this fantasy that we think that the majority of the majority of society does not have the privilege of having a man in a household earning an income that can take care of the whole family. That just doesn't exist for most families in this country. Women are going to work. Women are going to have a full-time job. They're going to earn benefits. They're going to have tangible skills. I don't get this whole thing about thinking for a community of men that only earn about the mid-40s median income, that all of a sudden we're going to produce something overnight in which we can go home and work. The wife stay at home off of $45,000 a year.
Okay, stop right there.
No. Let me finish. Let me finish, brother.
Well,
let me finish. I got something else to say.
Let him finish.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Right.
That's just not realistic. And the thing about it, when it comes to that, I understand you growing up in a traditional. I grew up in a traditional home. My dad got up 5 o'clock in the morning every goddamn day to go to work. Okay, and so forth. My mom did all of those things you just stated. Okay,
and you turned out fine.
And I turned out great. But okay. You know what? I also would have benefited if my dad could have been there for some things, and it would have prevented me from making some mistakes that I made. I make 20 times more than what my dad made, and he made a damn good living. But you know what? In that, because I have my own businesses and so forth, it affords me the ability to be there, to have a hand in my kids as far as sending them in daycare. When at the time, I was very influential in my kids' education, going there, seeing how they were doing, going to different little things that they would participate in, little acting plays and all that stuff, the sports and all that different stuff like that. Also, when I would get home, I was also there just as much as my wife was in making sure as far as school and other things, as far as their self-development, because my presence has a stronger meaning to it when it comes to children seeing a man doing those things and the influence that I have. Okay. So we can't. There's okay. Again, and I'm gonna say this again, and I'm gonna let you respond. There's every family is not going to look the same. It's not cookie cutter. Okay. So with that, things have to look within the confines of what that relationship looked like in that household. It is not going to be a cookie cutter, one size fits all scenario.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Now let me address something. You talk about the money, the amount of money. You talk about $45,000 a year. That's more than adequate enough to provide a living
45.
for.
Where the hell you going to survive off of $45,000?
This Negro said $45,000, which is basically like what $3,700 a month, $3,800 a month can take care of a family. Now listen to his rationale.
With a family.
I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do it. I'm trying to. I'm gonna show you if you listen. See, there is no law that says that you have to have a 34, 35, 4,000 square foot home that's going to cost you $3,000, $4,000 a month. There is no law that says that you have to have a Mercedes for you and a Mercedes for her. There is no law that says that she has to have red bottoms and you got to have $4,000 or $5,000 suits. There's no law that says any of that. None whatsoever. And if you talk about men supporting families, see, this is the problem. We got to get away from, oh, well, yeah, we know inflation is here. We understand that things are drastically much more expensive than they were in the 1970s and the 1980s, of course, right? But people also earn much more money. Now, a family of four can survive, right, quite nicely if they manage their money correctly. No one, the whole family does not have to have the whole I know it's funny to you, but that's because you're not listening. The whole family, man, woman, and children, if you got 2 kids, why do all of them have to have a fucking $1,100 cell phone each? You're paying $400 in cell phone bills. True. Why does the man have to have a $60,000 car? His wife got to have a $50,000 car. Why?
General.
No.
After taxes, 45,000 is like 36,000, man.
We know that it's 36,000, and we know that in other areas of the states and more affluent areas of different states, the cost of living is high. For example, in New York, there are people who are making their ends meet, right, on a single $45,000, $50,000 a year salary. I know because I live there. The problem is we in the Black community live way outside of our means. Yeah, that's part of the problem.
But
nobody,
brother, but $45,000.
The fact that I would disagree with that. Wait, say that again?
What do you mean you're gonna disagree with it? How? When if you look around, the average Black child walking around here today has an $1,100 goddamn iPhone 13, $1,200 goddamn cell phone. They got motherfucking every member of the family got a $400-500 goddamn tablet. How? Explain that to me.
General,
yourself. I'm just getting in the weeds of it. So you cannot use money. No, nobody's giving a preluded excuse to the women. And please, Cerulean, I'm not here for that tonight, brother. I'm here to join into an educated, supposedly intelligent conversation. I'm not here to argue with anyone. I'm just simply showing you the brass tacks and where the numbers are. That's all I'm doing. You were a military man, just like you were. You were a military man, just like I was, Cerulean. And you know, early on in your military career, a lot of soldiers and sailors and airmen, they don't make more than $32,000 a year, even with all of the entitlements that they get. But when
I was a young expeditionary, I fucked off a lot of money because you know what? In my mind,
okay, but that's a horse of a different color. That's a horse of a different color. At the end of the day, at the end of yes, you get benefits. But
housing, you get all
when you add those
Angry Man's polo shirts.
Here we go. When you add those benefits up and you add in the free medical and the free dental and all of that shit, the average E4 or sergeant still at best makes $47,000 a year at best, even with all of the added fucking benefits.
General, it's 2022, brother. That ain't gonna cut it.
That, though, but that's damn good money as a young E4 though.
Exactly. And if a young E4 takes care of his business, if he's married and has a child, and if he takes care of his business and manages his household and his money and does the right things, they could be quite successful as he rises through the ranks.
But here's the caveat. The reason I say I disagree with that is because the military is a lot different than your civilian world, right? Where tomorrow's check ain't promised, okay?
Right, but okay, so at the end of the day, we know that there's a lot of things that come with that when you look at military versus civilian. Yes, there is job security there. Yes, you know you're going to get a paycheck, of course. But if you are a young man and you have done the proper things, as BGS was trying to say, invest in the men, build better men, you will get a better community.
Well, see, this is where I disagree with BGS because I say that if we want better men, it is in part on us as men to build the motherfuckers, okay?
We've had this conversation. We've had this conversation many times, and I would tell you.
So,
all right.
Because what's happening
How long
is
have we been dealing with the single parent?
we're leaving these boys in the
How long have we been? See, you know where I'm getting ready to go. You know where I'm getting ready to go with this. This is why. Are you going to overtalk? Are we going to go with the over talking now? Are we going to have
General, let me ask you a question. How
Because
did
you know where
become
I'm
a
getting ready to
soldier,
go.
General?
For a long time.
General, I have a question for you. How did you become a good soldier?
What do you mean? How did I become a good soldier?
How did you become a soldier, a good soldier? I'm saying, you know, being in the military, right? I'm perceiving you as being someone that's good at what you're doing. So I'm using the term. How did you become? And how did you develop into a good soldier?
Well, I had very basic discipline implanted in me on my father's side, right?
Okay, but when you went to the military to be a soldier,
hold on. And the traits that was implanted in me from as a child by my dad and my grandfather and other men in my family, which is what led me to develop the characteristics that I developed as a young man entering into military service. Am I pure? Am I righteous? Did I do everything right? Well, no. But at the end of the day, I was able to right the ship and get my shit together. And now I'm retired and I'm well off. I'm doing quite well,
but General,
better than average.
General, when you entered into the military, you had to be trained, right?
Yes.
Okay, so who trained you?
Men.
Okay, so what's the? I don't understand if you can get that logic within the military perspective. Someone trained you to be the soldier that you were and retired at this point and had success. So why can't that same logic apply to black boys as far as with black men? So what's the issue?
So one, I will give you the issue. Here's the issues in cerulean. Know where I'm getting ready to go with this. So one, how long have we been dealing with the single mother, single parent household in this in our
black men?
Wait a minute. No, not like it has been now. The single parent, single mother household did not become an issue until the late 70s, early 80s, which is where we saw a vast turn and a breakdown in the structural content of relationships between black men and black women, right?
No,
it was earlier.
Yeah. No,
it was earlier than that.
By and large, en masse is what I'm speaking at. We know that it was earlier.
Yeah, but are we going to not talk about the crack era? Are we not going to talk about the prison industrial complex?
Yeah,
are we not going to talk about the high rate of black male?
Are you just going to okay, so you asked the question. We understand that those things exist, right? But I want you to answer me this. How is it that the men on this panel, for the most part, all of us, lived through that environment and we were able to be success at the end of the day? How did that happen? How did that happen? How did we escape that environment? I grew up in Compton, California. I saw gang banging, shooting, then that's what the shit was in the mid 80s. I grew up as a teenager at the height of it. So how did I survive and others like me survive and get out? And there are some that did not. How?
I don't know. I didn't grow up in that environment. So you have to explain that.
Hold on, y'all. Hold up. Because I want to interject right quick because the general just mentioned the stuff that he grew up around seeing. And so what I want to ask him is who was the ones that was doing the majority of that activity, General?
Wait, give me a second. I lost my shit. Okay, say again.
I said, who was that stuff that you grew up around, the gang banging, the shooting and killing? Who were the ones doing the majority of that activity?
Well, we know that the majority of it was black men.
So exactly. So black men have an inherent part that they played in where things are today. So as a result, see this whole like the problem
Well,
with
those
BGS. Hold up. The problem.
those were black men. Those were black men
Hold
who were
on.
also
Hold on. General, I understand that, but hold on. What all I'm saying is BGS is acting as if to clean up the mess would be cleaning up somebody else's mess. And what I'm saying is, no, it's part of your mess too. That's why I brought it up. Ever since the civil rights movement, it's not like brothers job. It's not like brothers they been on bended knee trying to marry every black woman they ran across. Like, listen, brothers have been enjoying the smorgasbord of easy, casual sex. And when you have that dynamic playing itself out, it just stands to reason that you're going to have more women having children out of wedlock. We're not asking or saying that black men should sacrifice to clean up somebody else's mess. We're saying that they need to sacrifice to clean up their own mess. Period.
exactly your own mess.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get to.
Okay, so look, I do not disagree with that either. At the end of the day, here's the problem, right? Here's the one problem. And again, just like what BGS was saying. So now you want me as a successful black man to take away from the two young black men that I've raised and my grandchildren and devote that time to some other Negro who jumped up and walked off, and some chick who just laid there and let him, do his business inside of her. And now there's a child, and I'm supposed to go out there and grab this child up and say, "Hey, come over here, listen to me. Let me help you get your shit together and straighten up and all that shit." Well, we know that we keep saying that this is the modern era.
And this is supposed to be thinking black men. This is a 50-plus-year-old man that's speaking like this. Married 5 times, 5 failed marriages. I'm telling you, 5 failed marriages.
Try it. I volunteer with these young men and young women every day. I've been doing it for the past goddamn 25 years. While I was in the military, through various ways, after school tutoring, basketball, football, boxing, mentorships, different organizations. I've been doing this shit for 25 years. You can't tell these kids shit. They ain't finna listen to you.
You're telling me you didn't influence any of those kids.
There were a few that I was able to reach, especially during my time as a recruiter in the United States Army. I was able to save quite a few of them. But at the end of the day, in the modern day society, these young men are not trying to hear that shit. They're not.
But I think that what people forget is that we had a whole generation of fatherless children. We had a whole generation that damn near had to raise themselves.
And that's what
So
I'm
they didn't
speaking on. And that's what I was speaking on, sister. So
Right.
I'm glad you brought that point up.
Right. So, well, listen, we can't pretend like the drug dealing that led to the high rates of homicide and incarceration didn't play a part. And it wasn't the women out there doing it.
It is what it is. The women were the ones who were choosing the doughboys, though, especially back when
Okay,
I was a
because
young
at
man.
that point, sweetheart, at that point, we didn't have social media. Hold on, let me correct you really quick. We didn't have social media. Excuse me, we didn't have social media at that time. So what people did, they dated within proximity of their home and of their school.
Well, hold on. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. No, hold up. Because I want to respond to that too. Because I mentioned that earlier when I talked about Robert McNamara talking about how the effects of the Vietnam War for the black community was much more dysgenic. And it goes back to what I was talking about. Like I said, when they began drafting these young black men coming out of high school, and they shipped these black men off to die in the interest of corporate interests and imperialism, it left black women with the street dudes and the doughboys, because that's all that was left. That's why McNamara said that. That's why he said the effects of the Vietnam War and the drafting process was much more dysgenic for the black community than for any other community that is in black and white. See, so
AMIRI, really quick though, up until 84, 83, 84, we still somewhat had a village. Everybody looked out for everybody's children. It wasn't until crack hit that it devastated our communities. That was the nail in the coffin, and nobody wants to talk about that.
Okay.
Everybody talks about it, but there were other plagues that hit our community long before crack.
Right, but crack was wait, sweetheart, crack was the
come on,
one.
you can't, sister,
wait a minute, but I
can't,
was finished. I wasn't finished. I've been quiet.
God damn it!
I've been quiet all night long.
I ain't got shit to do with you being quiet.
Okay,
what
I've
you
been
did
quiet
was,
all night long, but you did not let me finish.
Let her finish right quick, General. Let her finish.
Man.
We had other plagues. You're right, because from Vietnam there was heroin, right? Time we was almost off of heroin, getting our shit back together, they hit us with crack, right? So now crack was the only drug that took the mother out of the home as well.
Boom!
The only drug.
That was a nuclear comment, right?
You had children raising children.
There was a nuclear comment, but here's the one issue. They also had how many facilities did they have for women affected by crack cocaine, in particular the black women?
What you mean? Substance abuse clinics were for everybody. It wasn't gender based.
Stop.
Listen. They didn't have
before you get triggered and you just take off. Listen to what I'm saying, right? Women were always had more shelters than men went to get over their afflictions in this country, and they will always continue to have them. This is why when you look at shelters for battered men and women, you will find one.
Gender, you're moving the goalposts, brother.
No, I'm not, man.
Crack, not talking about domestic violence.
I'm talking about crack.
Yeah, but crack, but that's no gender-based substance abuse services.
It is easier for a woman to get into a facility to deal with her.
No, it's not. No, it's not. That is not true.
Yes,
it's not true. No, I work in the field, General. What are you talking about?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, brother. That is all right. No. If they don't go by your ability to function.
You
that
got
has nothing to do with it.
You got it, man. You got it.
Brother, I work in the field. What do you mean?
I'm agreeing with you. Goddamn, you got.
No, but I'm just saying. You saying I got it.
Okay, you got it. Goddamn, you are correct.
You're being sarcastic about it, brother.
No, I'm not. You are correct. You want to win the argument.
No, I don't want to win the argument. It's a matter of fact. It had nothing to do with me winning anything,
brother. I'm here looking for solutions. That's it.
Okay, so
I'm not here to argue with you.
I want to ask you this question. So, can you talk about the fact of as far as the? Okay, you're saying.
First of all, how old are you? Let's get something straight. First of all, how old are you?
I'm 44.
Okay, so how old were you in 1985? 86.
I was
87.
8. Okay, 87. I was 10.
You see, you're talking about things that some of us actually experienced firsthand when you talk about the crack epidemic and how hard it.
On crack
Stop! I didn't say that ain't what. That's not what. That's not what the fuck. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm.
10 years old. So what are you talking about?
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having to be out in an environment as a young man out in the streets.
Okay.
I didn't say that you didn't see them or you didn't witness them or you didn't see a crackhead. I'm talking about as a young man in your late teens having to go out and deal in the environment on a day-to-day basis where you see it in depth. That's what I'm talking about.
So what's your point, General?
My point is, man, experience sometimes is the best teacher. So a lot of people come on here and get involved in this.
I agree with that, General.
Nigga, can you let me finish?
Yeah, okay, you getting emotional, General.
I'm not. Don't try to female. Please, nigga, don't start that female.
Oh, see, there you go again. You're getting emotional.
Guys. All right. Okay, I see your point. But anyway,
you got to start muting, brother.
I never got to finish my point. So
go ahead, sister.
I was a teenager growing up in New York City during the height of the crack era. So I witnessed it. I watched our community fall apart like almost overnight. Okay. You said they always had programs for women. Not true. They didn't start helping women until all of these babies were born crack addicted.
What year was that? What year did that start?
Probably about 89.
Right. Crack by and large hit the scene in what year?
1981. 81.
No, it hit New York. It hit New York City in 84. It hit LA in 83.
No. That's a lie. Crack actually
That's
hit
not allowed.
crack actually hit. You're telling me, and I'm from there. I'm from one of the
I'm
major
telling you.
cities where crack actually hit. Crack cocaine hit the streets of Los Angeles, California in 1981. That's when it emerged on the scene. If you look at Rick Ross, the story of Rick Ross, he will tell you
1983.
crack hit the streets. I know what the book says. You see, that's the problem. We got to get out of books.
Ain't no book. I was there for it.
All right.
Just
Well,
like you was
I
there
was
for
born
it.
and
So
raised
remember,
there.
Books. What are you
Listen,
talking
everything
about?
doesn't have to be. Listen, y'all. Everything does not have to be a damn disagreement. It's just basic things
It
that
doesn't.
that we can agree on. We don't have to have the exact date and time of when the
Right.
damn of when crack hit the streets. But I think the general point is that crack cocaine had a profound impact on the black community all across wherever black people were at, wherever it was being sold. Number one. Number two, we know that the major distributors and users of crack were black men. When we talk about the effects of crack cocaine, let us acknowledge that crack cocaine served as
mindset. You had those sort of social parameters that were there that kept men from falling into a lot of those vices, and that because you're in an urban environment, those barriers have been removed, which made those men more susceptible. The other thing I think that's telling is when you look at Moynihan, what his actual recommendation was, which is basically he advocated for like a Marshall Plan for black men, essentially. That he basically advocated for training skills.
Say it again.
A Marshall Plan for black men. So he basically advocated for training skills, all of those things to lift the man. Which I mean it kind of speaks to both sides, and the side of, hey, there are people who are saying, hey, black men need to be invested in and developed. But then it also kind of speaks to your side too, AMIRI, and saying that the men were one of the leading issues, if that makes sense. Because if he's advocating fixing something's broken. But he's also saying fixing that will fix the community.
Did you, AMIRI, I want to ask you a question, AMIRI. Did you read the Brookings Institute report on black boys in 2018?
Yeah, I read it.
What did they say? They said you need a Marshall Plan for black boys and black men, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. How many years later?
Or 50 some odd years later.
They still had the same problem.
Yeah, listen, I would agree with that. We do need to invest in
a lot of these guys.
Okay. Did they actually invest in black men at the same time?
But here it is again. You guys want to be leaders. You want your women to submit, but you want us to put you on the throne to do it. And that's ridiculous.
That's what BGS is saying. And I'm not I'm not a member of the manosphere, nor I agree with some of their talking points. But that's what BGS is saying. He's saying that the men in the manosphere are operating to whereas they have to help yourself because no one is coming for you. No one is coming to help you. It's all about build a better black man. Build yourself, get your shit together, because no one else is going to help you do it.
So
but is the manosphere building? Are they individually building better as being better black men themselves? Because when I look at it, a lot of these guys are unemployed. They make under $50,000 a year. Many of them are uneducated. So what are we talking about?
Actually, that's not true.
So what are we talking about? A lot of these guys lie about what they do in real life. They're not successful at anything. I don't know what. So what are we talking about?
I think that you are allowing. I think that you are allowing.
Until they learn to be better and invest in themselves, they can't speak on anybody in the community.
I'll tell you. When you pause,
they can't speak on anybody.
Okay, y'all. Let BGS respond. Let them respond.
The vast majority of black men, I would say 80% of black men in the manosphere actually earn $80,000 a year over.
That's a lie. That's a goddamn lie.
How do you know?
Based on how do you know? How do you know? How do you know, BGS? You don't even earn $80,000. So stop.
It doesn't matter. I have stuff.
I mean, Kevin Samuels told on you guys. They said only 10% of the population make that much.
Kevin Samuel didn't even earn $80,000 until the last.
But I mean, he said only 10% of the population earns $100,000.
Are you going to listen? We talk about the whole poverty. Talk about the black manosphere. It's very
Brother,
small.
Kevin Samuel was broke until 2 years ago. What are you talking about?
Can I please finish the statement?
Let him finish, Derell. Let him finish, brother. Let him finish, man. Because listen, hold on, because I don't want. I know what it's like to be in enemy territory. You know, not real enemy, but y'all know what I'm saying. To be in opposing you territory, you want to be able to say what you
talk. We let you talk.
You want to be able to say what you got to say. So y'all, please let BGS talk.
In other words, the black manosphere is very small. There's not that many black men in the black manosphere. You're not talking about millions of people. We're talking about we're much less than 100,000 people. Probably a little more like 50. Okay. And I actually polled the vast majority. I got 40,000 subs. I polled them all, right? The vast majority of them are there's three things, right? I get a lot of service guys, okay? I get General knows because he's set in. I got a whole lot of service guys. I got a whole lot of engineers. I got a whole lot of programmers. I got a whole lot of guys that are educated that have bachelors or better, right? 80% of my subs have bachelors or better and earn at least $80,000 a year. Okay, I know. I talk.
That's a lie.
I talked to.
How do you know?
What they told you, they're lying.
You don't want to get wrapped up into that.
They're lying to you. That is not a reliable.
I seen their LinkedIn.
They're lying.
Okay, they're lying. I seen their LinkedIn.
Well, listen, we don't want to get off too far off in the weeds with that.
I mean,
because that's irrelevant to the overall
statement, and you gonna call me a liar? I haven't disrespected.
You are lying.
Well, then you motherfuckers, please.
What you cursing for? You triggered? Are you triggered?
No.
Are you triggered? Why are you being feminine?
Call me a liar.
Quit being feminine.
This is Derell. This is Derell selling black men.
Come on, be respectful, brother.
And I thought that
Wait a minute, he cursed y'all.
No.
So why isn't he corrected?
You're pushing the conversation. You're pushing the conversation. You're pushing the conversation off the rails.
I am challenging. I have a right to challenge. I don't believe in echo chambers. If you don't like it, that's your problem. That is your problem.
You're a liar.
You are a liar.
You are a liar.
You are a liar and you're a fake. You're a fake and you're a liar. That's what you are. You are a fake and a liar. You're triggered because you've been exposed.
No, you're a fake, sir.
You are a fake and you're a liar. You are a fake and you're a liar and you're over the hill and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's the truth. Don't get mad. Don't get mad at me because your life in your old age is a failure. You are a failure. No matter how many books you attempt to read, no matter how much research that you attempt to misquote and miseducate black men, you are a fake and you're a liar and you always will.
At least I read, sir.
Okay, all right, hold on, y'all. Like I said, on my channel, I don't want my channel to devolve into that and to be, coming for people personally, right? Listen, as a community of people, be it black men or black women, we know what it is in this society, and we have to understand the black tax and stuff like that. Now, just because I want to allow BGS to talk and convey his thoughts adequately, doesn't mean I agree or I'm supporting what he's saying. But how can the audience hear the point that's being laid out to see who's making the superior argument if everybody keeps jumping in and we're talking over one another? BGS is going to see things the way he sees it, and I'm going to see things the way I see it, and the rest of the panelists are going to see things the way they see it. But we have to be able to allow one another to talk uninterrupted, so we can lay our thoughts out. The conversation is going to go. It's going to get to you. But if we keep having this interrupting, going back and forth, then it's going to lead to a stalemate between two people. Nobody else gets to talk. The audience can't hear what's saying, and at the
end, well, they're right around that close. So 45,000 is enough to take care of a family. Okay. They're already doing it.
And that's what
they're already doing it. Go look it up.
And that's if one person is
working. A household can mean two people working. A household.
If I may.
Okay, I'm talking about a household with one person working, taking care of a family of, let's say, 4. Do you believe that somebody can provide for a family of 4? On a $45,000 income without?
Sure you can.
Sure.
They're already doing it.
Sure,
This is
sure.
crazy.
No, it's not crazy. See, this is a
Do
part
you
of
know
what.
the food prices,
Can
taxes?
I finish? Can I finish
Man,
before you? I just want to finish statement because we're talking about the amount of money that families are surviving off of. If the median income is about $40,000 to $42,000 a year, right, for all families, be it a single family, single-led household or a joint-led household, if that is the median household income across the board in this country, how can you say that they're not able to do it? Yes, there may be some assistance there, but the bottom line is if the average Joe or Joette is making $40,000 to $41,000 a year, they're not on the streets. They're not living. They may be living pillar to, but they ain't on the streets. They may be in projects. They
If
may
you
be in
need
apartments, but they're
assistance, you're
not
not
living pillar to
independent.
post.
I do believe that it's possible
No
to
one
do it
said
because
that.
Black women
No one
are
said.
doing it. I'm not disputing whether it's possible or not. I know that it's possible. What I'm saying is it possible to do that without welfare? That is
Yes,
yes,
there are people doing it every day.
So,
this is crazy.
but what I'm saying
Derell,
is,
relax.
you guys,
What world are y'all living in, man?
I'm gonna have to
no,
break
no,
the
no.
mic
Listen,
down.
listen to what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, okay.
But that payment gonna be
Stop. But does it make? But see, this is the problem. We like to interject bullshit and jokes. Does that make sense for a young man?
He's not even learning the macro until he's a couple of years into whatever his specialty is. To realize,
Okay, listen.
Usually, because
I'm
this
not-
is what I've seen. I've seen
this high value man with his high value man construct. One of his talking points was so many percentage of.
If you take
That sounds like it could be a plausible solution to a plausible
Yeah,
solution.
but the bigger problem is
saying
access
is
to capital. Equal access to capital is what counts. We're not going to decrease the wage gap through government funding and government policy. If you don't have access to capital to create businesses and so forth for yourself as a whole, it doesn't mean anything. You still going to be working for other people. As long as you're working for other people, you're not going to close the wage gap. It's about entrepreneurship and ownership.
How do you get access to capital?
Exactly. You got. I mean, banks.
No, you got to be
credit.
You got to be credit worthy, and that goes back to my state. That goes back to my statement earlier. So when I talked about the cars, it goes back to that. You get yourself in over your head as a young man.
Harvey stuff. The chat room is gonna be busting at the seams. Let's just be honest. In terms of like we would have to look at.
How many are all the office holders mayors?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. So we would have to.
How about city council?
Okay, city council. So you're saying
ass backwards. And if you think about it, just look at the marriage rate within our community and ask yourself, why is it that that Black men and women in particular,
because most
have the lowest
of the
marriage rate in the
Negro
market
males
today?
reverse the responsibility.
It ain't got nothing to do. It ain't got shit to do with derelict Negro males.
Absolutely
it is the
does.
unwillingness. It is the unwillingness.
It absolutely does.
It is the unwillingness. It is the, for the most part, it is the. I don't want to. I don't want to yell over you. I don't want to yell over you. I don't want to yell.
Or do women still?
I don't want to yell over you, but you cannot force anyone to do anything. So, with that being said,
that is called the dereliction of duty.
With that being said, we don't live in the Middle East. We can't grab Black women up by the bundles or the weave of their hair because they out there twerking and showing their ass and say, "No, sister, come over here and sit down. You're wrong." We can't do that. And the sooner we face that motherfucking fact, the better off we'll all be.
Last time I checked, women still inherit men's last names, not the other way around.
They did, but women are not inheriting men's last name because half of them don't want to get married, half of them don't want to be wives, half of them don't want to do what wives are supposed to do.
Okay.
Half of them.
Now hold on.
Point
mentioning that the age range is such a wide gap. Of course, if you include 15-year-old, even 16-year-old boys, they're not going to have children. So I thought that was a very good point. I also agreed with the lady about how many of them are actually claiming their children. And then also another point that I think people are not paying attention to, that the reason why the numbers don't make sense to me is that if you're saying, okay, Black women have all these children, and you're saying no other race of men want Black women, then who the hell they having these children for? You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason I don't think the stats make sense. My question for you is, you've been on here a long time. Before I heard about anybody, I heard about BGS, right? You're legendary. And in all these years, you keep on saying this is how Black women are, this, basically stating that relationships with Black women are a hopeless case. So what is your solution all these years, and you have yet to come up with a solution? What's your purpose? Thank
Don't
you.
have none.
Excuse me. Let her be to answer the question, please. Oh no! Don't do that. Please.
Oh, sorry.
BJ's, you heard Mahogany's question? All right. I guess he's doing something.
I just wanted to touch on one thing about the statistics on children. If all of these men,
the euphemism that the world's oldest profession is what?
Prostitution.
Exactly. So sexism has been around before racism. Because hold on. Because the only reason why women have had to leverage their goodies for resources is because men hoard resources. That's the purpose of hoarding resources.
Well, for sake, instead of bashing on us, ask question. Okay, he put out some and he says accurate. So now, can you bring up something that's better? This will stabilize the conversation if you can.
I want to talk about feminism,
to the federal government statistics on that particular issue. That's what I would do, because that's the best information that could describe that as it relates to income levels and wage.
Yes.
Oh my God, BGS, you never make any sense. Never. It's been years now.
I don't agree with that either. I mean, listen, hold on, BGS. BGS, hold on one second. And we all know the euphemism that the world's oldest profession is what?
Prostitution.
Exactly. So sexism has been around before racism. Because hold on. Because the only reason why women have had to leverage their goodies for resources is because men hoard resources. That's the purpose of hoarding resources. That is patriarchy. Patriarchy is a mating strategy. So she's right.
Yeah. Sexism only about a 4,000-year-old institution.
So, AMIRI, I only came up here, AMIRI. I wanted to point out the disingenuous BS of this pseudo intellectual. I read the goddamn study, which was not a. I actually stopped at one fucking paragraph. The goddamn study was a survey of 350 metropolitan areas, not necessarily full scale, the totality of the United States population in regards to the income levels as regards to poverty and middle class and upper class and so forth. So what he did was to me epitomizes confirmation bias by looking up bullshit research to fit a narrative that does not give the total analysis of the country itself as it relates to income as regards to poverty and income levels and minimum wage. So again, this is what happens when you have uneducated Negroes who read a book and article and they don't know what the hell they talking about, and they don't understand how to read. They don't understand how to read research. That was a sample. That did not give the totality of the information that we spoke on and debated on.
Half
That
50,
research was
50%,
null and void.
50% of Americans make less than 30.
Again, brother.
Hey,
you don't know.
hey,
You don't know how to read research. You don't understand statistics. You don't understand. You don't understand analysis. You don't understand the computation of it. You don't understand how to accumulate the data. All you doing is looking at raw. You're looking at raw information.
Where's yours?
I don't need one because I told you what you said was wrong. Your information was wrong. You the one that lied. You lied. You old decrepit ass Negro. You don't know.
Decrepit ass.
Stop. I gotta bring down Derell. Personally, I know you come in and you try and fight off, and that's cool. But for sake, instead of bashing on us, ask question. Okay, he put out some and he says accurate. So now, can you bring up something that's better?
Now, I basically did that for a reason, because that gave the story of why I chose to do this video. Now, guys, what I'm going to do is summarize, and I'm going to show the bullshit as research study that he put in the chat so that we can read. So I'm going to put that here so you can understand why I act in the manner that I did. Okay? So this is the research article in itself. Okay? And in the research article itself, it was created by Brookings. This is their site. It talked about meet the low wage workforce. You all can go about and look at this article yourselves. And I'm going to highlight why I decided to come back up and discuss how he didn't know how to read the fucking research, because he didn't. And I'm going to show you proof why he didn't. Okay. So first of all, as you look at the research, and again, guys, you can go ahead and check it out. Meet the Low Wage Workforce. It was written by Martha Ross and Nicole Bateman. And this research is actually 3 fucking years old. It ain't even that current. Now, as you read the research, it talks about a great deal of things about globalization, career growth. It says here, and I'm going to highlight. Okay? I'm highlighting this so you all can understand. You can understand what I'm talking about. Against this backdrop, we provide a new report, extensive demographic and occupation data on low-wage workers nationally in more than 350 metropolitan areas. It is a large, diverse group of people, and they play a major role in the economy. Okay? This was not the total representation of the U.S. population workforce. If you look here, low-wage workers comprise of a substantial share of the workforce. More than 53 million people, 44% of all workers aged 18 to 64 in the United States earn low hourly wages. Now, how do we define low hourly wages? Low hourly wages can mean something different compared to the city that you're living in. Some cities have livable wages. Some of them have state livable wages. They have city. Then we have a national minimum wage. So that's all subjective. But again, we're talking about 53 million people. It says here slightly more than half of the sole earners and families make the majority contributions to family income. Nearly 1/3 live in below 150% of the federal poverty line. About $36,000 for a family of 4, and almost half have a high school diploma or less. So this was only a segment of the U.S. population and workforce. This was not in whole the total summary of the complete U.S. population that's involved in the workforce. Because as we know, there's more than 55 million workers in this country, for a country that has well over around 300 or more million people. But see, he didn't tell you that. He didn't tell you that because he doesn't understand research. When I read that, I stopped the goddamn report. Even in this situation, it says a large cluster accounting for 15 million people, or 28% earn low wage workers, consist of people who are 25 to 50 years old that have no more than a high school diploma. And also what's not talked about is the fact that they correlated what you made versus your education, because your education will highly predict how much money you make. It's a good representation. Again, it talks about a relative size of the low wage workers varies considerable by region. A region, not the nation. Okay? Again, as we look here, across more than 350 metro areas, the share of workers earn low wages from 30 to 62% of the overall workforce. Low wage workers are particularly concentrated in smaller places in the southern and western parts of the United States. They make up a large share of the workforce in places where have lower employment rates and that concentrate in agriculture, real estate, and hospitality. You see, it didn't take me but 5 minutes to read this research to understand that this Negro, BGS Ibmor, does not understand research. He brought his ass on that panel to say, nearly 70, 80% of people earn low wages. No, they don't. No, they don't. It could be anywhere between 30 to 62%. It varies by cities and states. And in this study, it only talks, and this is just according and relative to the study. The study itself is a representation of those 350 cities across the nation. It didn't talk about the total. It didn't talk about the rural areas. It didn't talk about every area, the total workforce population, which is probably around maybe 100, 150 million or more workers of all social economic class. You see, this is why I don't talk. That's why I don't go into manosphere debating Negroes, because they don't know what they're talking about. A lot of these Negroes only want to have a fucking echo chamber of Negroes crying and whining, and they're very disingenuous. So I just wanted to have this conversation with you all. I'm gonna go ahead and send the link out because I know someone wanted to speak, but I'm not gonna be on that long. So but I wanted to go through this first before I brought anybody up. So I'm sending the link. Guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to be right back. I need to go and get something right quick. While I go, I'm going to go ahead and play this.
The year of the Godfather. The year of the Godfather. 2020 was a bitch.
Okay, I'm back, guys. So I did send the link. If anybody wants to come up, I'm gonna give it about 5 minutes. That was a small sample. Yes, it was, to represent the national workforce. Exactly. So Jen wanted to come up. I don't know if she left. So I'm gonna give it about 5 minutes. That was a very small sample. That's why when I went up there, I went up with such emotion, because I'm like, Negro, here you go again, purposely miseducating. A Negro sitting here calling you this great fucking intellectual that you're not. It's sad, man. It's sad. It really is sad. It is so, it's horrible.
It really was sorry. So I sent the link. I sent the link out for anybody want to come up. You can come up. I'm gonna give it about 5 minutes. And then after that, I will be heading out. I'm actually getting ready to go on an errand while we talk because I was on my computer. And then once I pick up my little food and everything, chill with the family, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my beautiful day in Houston for the rest of the day. So, basically right now, leaving the house. Hope everybody's having a nice evening. I know I am. I'm enjoying my day. Wanted to go live today just to have this discussion. You know, Negroes out here just miseducating, misquoting every goddamn thing, misquoting everything, saying just wrong information. Nobody questions. And when you question, then they want to get mad. They want to get mad and upset. So I'm going to go ahead and send the link one more time. I enjoyed interacting with everybody. I enjoyed the interaction. So, ooh, man, it's hot. But I did this for a reason. Because it's been a while since I've made my little round in the manosphere. I've and the lack of knowledge that's suited. And then my thing is that then one would have to look at what the hell is Tia Son Johnson, another disingenuous that refuses to course correct with him. And he has a PhD in black male studies, which qualifies you to do absolutely nothing. You gain no tangible skills learning and getting a degree, a PhD in black male studies. That qualifies you to do what? Nothing. Other than teach the course. And that's just the real. It's ridiculous. This shit is ridiculous, man. The lies that these guys get away with. And that's why they don't like dealing with me, because I am going to question their talking points. And they hate that. They just want you to say, yeah, black women ain't shit. Yeah, the black women got 10 children for 10 different men. Yeah, the black women, they all having sex with the Pookies and Ray Rays. No, they're not. They're having sex with all the Pookies and Ray Rays, and we can't get nothing. Crying like a bunch of little bitches. That's what they were doing. Crying and whining, trauma bonding, a triangular cesspool of sadness and contempt for black women, knowing that's what they want. And the worst thing about it is them very Instagram thoughts and all the other people that they talk about, they would have sex and simp on them with the quickness. Ain't shit changed. Ain't nothing changed. Just a different environment. Men are always going to be men. Women are going to always be women. That's the problem. Things change. What changed? Negroes simped back in the 90s and 2000. They're going to simp now.
Women are gonna do stuff. They're gonna have thoughts then. They got thoughts now. People on child support then. They on child support now. People are getting married now. They were married then. They get divorced. Back in the day, they're getting divorced now. You had baby mamas back in the day. That term started in the early 90s. I remember that song. That's not my baby daddy. I remember that little silly ass song people was listening to. Next thing you know, it became part of black culture. Then it became part of American culture. He said, okay, I'll change up my avatar for you. Next one, hell, Nixon. Okay. I'm sitting there like this. This is what's going on. So I'm going to send a link one last time. I thought a couple of people were coming up, but I guess they decided to chill out. Well, I know I'm chilling for the rest of the day. I got to catch up and watch Star Wars. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. I subscribe to several channels. I fell asleep watching Obi-Wan Kenobi twice this week since Wednesday. I think I fell asleep on Wednesday and Thursday. No, it was Thursday and Friday. Yesterday I fell asleep too. So I'm gonna try to watch that. Yeah, it was. It was a funny song. But I showcased. And the thing about it is that the easiness to get triggered and angry when you argue, when you debate them, they get mad. They don't like pushback. They don't. I'm on my own with this one. I'm always on my own. This ain't nothing different. What I'm supposed to be? I'm supposed to be intimidated by BGS? Are you serious? First of all, who is he to challenge me in the first place? He has no real credentials. He has no knowledge and no application of anything for me to be intimidated. You mean I'm on my own? I'm always on my own. I made the video by myself. What difference is it gonna make? What's up, L. Nixon?
What's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What's cracking?
Hey, I fuck with that energy right there, man. That's a man right there. That's what a man does. You know, he creates his own lane. You know, he takes the good and bad from everything, and he creates his own lane. He doesn't look for approval from people, and that's the thing on here. A lot of people have a follower's mindset. You know what I'm saying? And they're afraid to actually say what it is because they still hurt on certain situations. You know, they hate when I talk about being accountable as a man because they think I'm trying to give women excuses. I'm like, how the hell can you claim to be the leader at the same time? If you've done any leadership in your life, you don't blame your subordinates when shit go wrong on your watch. It shit doesn't add up. And if you
didn't even make sense,
it don't. And if you do what you're supposed to do as a man and realize that in your situations and relationships with these women, if you understand and take a look at yourself, if you be honest, then you probably didn't have the right energy. You probably wasn't on your shit in that relationship. Like, come on, like if we can complain about being disrespected for 3 years, right? And you could try to put it on the woman you was with. But how you the man? How you the strong man? And you sat there and you allowed yourself to be disrespected for 3 years. You got to start with that.
Yes.
Come on now.
Yes.
So if you course correct, you won't even be. You'll have the same thing with women. You'll have them over there and us over here. You just won't deal with those people. That's just that simple. Like, as far as us picking people, I would have thought that some of us had more power over ourselves than we're supposed to. So if you really had that type of power, then you could actually go out there and get what you want out of life. But see, since most of us in society have a follower's mindset, we lost. And we're sitting there leading each other. We believing that we can't have the things that we want out of life. And meanwhile, you know, we're doing what the other generation's doing. We're passing on to our kids. These kids, you know, when it comes to relationships, well, these kids are smarter nowadays. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. The hell is you talking about? This generation is
Exactly.
getting worse. These kids are smart, but they have no common sense. They have no survival skills. They're awkward. They all that. How the hell y'all thinking these kids are better than us? I'm not, bro. I'm not secure about where we're going in the future. The society is getting worse. Everybody got to get a trophy. You can I hear people talking about don't shame people. You can't say this. You can't say why the fuck you can't call shit out. We're getting
Exactly.
we're weak. We're getting weak.
They
And
don't know how to deal with adversity, man. They don't know how
right,
to deal with adversity. They don't, man. It is sad. You want a pat on the back. You're scared to say the truth
right,
without hurting somebody's feeling. How the hell a little boy is supposed to grow into a man when he entered the world? He's constantly going to be critiqued and held to the fire. How he's going to
right,
be equipped for that?
right.
You
And
know,
then for some of the ladies, right? I get it. Some of these men are messed up. But damn, let's be honest. For some, how the hell can men be fucked up? But then in your own home, you coddling a boy so he can grow up for another woman to say he's fucked up. Same for men. You know, you out here
right?
online dogging women and shit like that, but you got daughters at home. And at any time they can
Facts.
click on this shit and they can listen to you and like, oh shit, is that my dad? Like, listen, you got anywhere I go, everywhere I do, at any time, any of my family members, any of my kids, you know, can turn that shit on. I have no doubt when they listen, then I know they're not going to be disappointed because I keep
Right.
them in mind. When I'm speaking, when I'm doing shit, I do that with them in mind. I represent them.
Right. So I want to see this is a problem. See, for Carlton Banks, appreciate you for coming in. Obviously, you're a BGS supporter. He say, what you got against BGS? What you got against the teacher? He's not a fucking teacher. Teach what? What is he teaching? And if he's teaching what is the outcome of what he's teaching? See, this is the problem. Master teacher. Master of what? And he like, well, we know who he is. We don't know we don't know you. Well, many people, many guys in the manosphere and so on know who I am. Just because you don't know just because that sector of the manosphere don't know who I am, don't mean that people don't know who I am. So that it doesn't matter if you don't know. Now you know. So I'm going to make it a point that I'm going to start doing videos just debunking the silly shit that these guys are saying that makes no sense. Starting with BGS, starting with Charles Faulkner, and the others. Like, seriously, like, it's getting to me too frustrating, man. I'm like, you're lying and you're misleading these young men that are watching, that are impressionable, and they listening to this bullshit that y'all saying. You setting them up for failure.
Yeah. I mean, we can help them as far as, what to do as far as job skills and success and stuff like that. You know, yeah, you can do that. But as far as relationships, as far as the community, like we're not too far out of, certain things, not too far from civil rights. I don't know why people think shit's supposed to improve overnight, like it's supposed to happen overnight. Like you can see it every time there's a situation where there's injustice by police. We get on code for a second and then we go back. So that's letting you know we have not learned how to focus outside of work together, outside of focus and pressure. We got to be going through something together for us to order to get on code. We haven't learned that yet. It's going to take
Right.
a long time for us to figure that out. Meanwhile, we got all these distractions, and then we got these conversations. I get it. We a lot of us know what women not to deal with. These women are this, these women are that. We keep hearing that over and over and over again. But how do you teach them how to find the women that do have it together?
2-liter Pepsi added today. Yeah.
Where's the talks about
Give us some
what women to
Give
look
us some
for,
Spears.
what men to look for? We're not
Yeah.
doing that. We're just giving them the negative side because you know what? We couldn't get this shit right, so I'm not going to teach them how to do something that I couldn't do. Like this shit is crazy. There's good men out there, there's good women out there, but we're socializing each other right now to think that fuck it, just give up. It ain't gonna work. You can't have what you want. That's bullshit.
Right. So G, what's up, G Dizzle? G Dizzle said, I guess that's AM gave, I guess Angry Man gave him that master teacher title. No clue what he's teaching though. I just said the same thing, G. I said that shit like 5. I don't know what the hell he's teaching. I said, what is he qualified to teach? And what are the results of what he's teaching? And then he says, why don't you start by focusing on one BGS point? The fact that he's about the black pill and red pill, that tells enough. So that I don't need to go any further than that. That lets me know enough to start what he's saying. I'm basing on my encounters with him.
Yeah, those results are important, man. These followers, even on the divestment side, are cool. If you have a certain talking point or mission, that's cool. But you've been there for 4 or 5 years. Has your life changed? Has it gotten better? Have you even gotten the stuff that you were there in the first place? If not, and you're there time and time again, still talking about stuff, because hell, even successful divestors, they actually divest. They actually are living their life. You got people like Eve. You don't see her complaining because she's actually successfully divesting and she's living her life. You wouldn't see her online complaining about stuff because she's actually doing it. So a lot of these people are still having the same conversation because they haven't got what they wanted, and they're still here. They'll be here next year and the year after that.
He doesn't call himself the master teacher. You damn right he shouldn't call himself that. He shouldn't call himself teacher at all. Call himself a content creator.
Yeah.
That's basically all he could do. No, I'm talking to somebody.
She like, what? No, but
I'm good. Go ahead, brother.
I see you, man. It's like you definitely stand on your own, and a lot of people can't do that. They don't want the spotlight, but you know what I'm saying? There's a very few people. Majority of the masses will always have a follower's mindset. There's very few that will go against the grain, and that's just how it's always going to be.
Right. Like my thing is that as I'm listening to BGS, like is one talking point after another that's false, that just is not applicable to real life. It's not realistic. It's not representative of the space. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's not representative of us as a people. It's misleading young men to me, which is the most dangerous thing about it.
Right.
It's definitely, and it's giving these younger guys in their early 20s or even 18, 19, 20 years old a very negative view that's not necessarily representative of most black men.
Right.
No, like most I'm gonna say this. Most black men do not have a difficult time with women or getting a woman. Now, some may have issues with keeping someone long term or maybe getting married.
Right.
Most black men don't have problems with getting a date. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just go out and let most black men don't have a problem getting sex from a black woman.
Right.
I mean, for the most part, I mean, some have more easy than others, but these Negroes like, say for instance, when we were talking about the $45,000 a year situation, he sat up there and said, you can live and feed a family off of $45,000 a year.
Wow.
And he got mad for me for laughing at that and giving pushback. Where can you live in this country, where other than little small rural areas, that you can live off of $45,000 with 2 or 3 kids? Please help me understand that.
Yeah,
I mean, that is not, you cannot live in cities with 2 or 3 children or more, a family of 4 or 5 off of $45,000, and your wife staying at home as a traditional wife or a single mother or whatever. That's not realistic, Nixon. And
yeah.
I'm like, why are you lying to these people?
Without hell of government assistance and all types of aid and other stuff, and you got to have a hell of a lot of stuff that go with that. Like,
and what man wants that? How does that feel as a man? You trying to work and you got to still depend on all this stuff to take care of your family.
Right.
A real man does not want to deal with the government.
Yeah.
And so West Bank VDA 504, I get it. It's not about meeting women. It's about meeting certain women that man prefers and desire. where well, this is the problem. Most women do not desire red pill ideology. They don't want to operate under those conditions. So it's not. It is not a attractive. It is not an attractive institution that women want to operate under, and that's what you don't understand. You know, you cannot. No woman wants to deal with a man that's looking at that number one doesn't care about her well-being as far as working together, love, growing, emotion, you know, connecting, all of those things that they don't talk about. All they're worried about is, are you going to be feminine? Are you going to be submissive? Are you going to follow my lead? You going to do what I say? I make $35,000 and you can't work, and we're going to have 3 children, and you just going to have to follow what I do and shut up. That's how they describe relationships. And so that lets me know, as a man who's been married for 17 years of my life, currently married, you don't understand relationships, you don't understand women, and that's the reason why you have the problems that you have. What's up, Marquise?
And the fact that you got to go in and demand or even ain't no way I'm having these conversations offline with a woman about submission and all that type of shit. I'm not, because see, you got to understand, you got to show up a man that's worthy of all that shit, and the shit will happen naturally. You shouldn't have to demand for that type of stuff.
You don't have to. You don't even, man. I've never had these talks with any woman that I've dealt with.
Brother Derell,
prior to marriage and abroad, I automatically got it.
But hold on,
I didn't have to ask nobody to be submissive. Because they were automatically submissive. I've never been with an unsubmissive woman. I've never been with a woman that wasn't feminine.
Right.
Never.
And hold on, let me say this, right? Demanding all this stuff. They got to be 25. They got to be this. They got to be that. And all this, man. Come on, let's be honest, man. Some of us in our 40s, man. Like, your ass can't even get through a night without taking a pill. Your ass can't. I mean, then you want a young woman. Compared to a woman your age, she don't even know her body yet. And of course, it works out in your favor because she's not mentally developed yet. So maybe you can't get with a woman on your age because her mind is sharp. Like, come on, like,
she ain't gonna let you get away with bullshit.
Exactly.
She's not gonna think of things thoroughly. Like a 23, 24-year-old ain't gonna think long term or think things full. They basically just 6-7 years out of high school. They just getting in. They're just getting grounded in adulthood.
Yeah, everything is easy. I can't deal with somebody here, so I'll go to another culture where I'll take advantage of the cultural differences. But yeah, until you bring their ass over here, because I did 22 years in the military, you bring their ass over here, you give it time, and guess what? They will change too.
Yeah, Marquise know all about that. Go ahead, brother. You know about it. Tell me about it.
What's up, bro?
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Red. When was the last time you actually okay, I know you've been married for 17 years. When's the last time you actually pursued a woman?
I don't have to pursue them. They pursue me every day.
Okay, well,
I'm gonna tell you how they pursue me. I get pursued at least 3 to 5 times a month, and I'm a married man, and they know I'm married, and they don't care.
To be honest with you, Mr. Red, I think you've been out the game quite a long time.
No. The game come to me, brother. I don't have to be out. The game comes to me. I get approached. I get in situations because women know what I do, what I control, business wise. I'm in business environments. I'm in high value environments. I'm in upscale environments.
Yeah, they're probably.
And so when women see that, and they don't care whether or not I'm married or not, they'll shoot their shot. Or they'll put themselves in a position to see what I'm gonna do. That happens to me all the time.
If you're in a position for them to gain something, of course they're gonna throw themselves at you.
Yes, but again, what you don't understand, they see me as a valuable person to connect with. See, valuable men don't have to go cold approaching. I don't have to cold. If I wanted to get in the game, all I gotta do is just be me in the environments, and when the right situations come across, and so forth, signals and so forth, in these little conversations, because I get into conversations, business conversations, and somebody may sneak and say something that's basically giving me a hint that, hey, we can do more things. I could take advantage of that every month if I wanted to.
That's not like a bad setup approach, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No. It's something you can't relate to because they don't see you in that manner. That's not my problem. That's your problem. It ain't as hard. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. It ain't as hard, man. Getting a woman, dating a woman, an American black woman, is not that difficult. It's quite easy.
Okay. First off, Mr. Derell,
It don't take a lot of skill to do that.
This is Marquise again, bro. I'm not one of those other guys. So when it comes to like having value, I understand where that comes from. But I really do think you're disconnected from a lot of the youth, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you, man.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not disconnected from anybody. I'm not disconnected from nothing because I see the game. I see the game every day. I see the game, and I see the game in regards to those younger, particularly the younger generation between like let's say 20 and 25 that come for me for therapy and stuff like services like that. And I see what they going through. I'm not out of touch. The problem is you Negroes are out of touch on this internet because you all ain't most of these. I'm not speaking to you because I know you travel to go get yours, but you know which I they don't agree with. But you travel to go get yours. You travel to go get yours. So hey, that's
14 years, bro.
What?
I've been married for 14 years.
Yeah, but you still going to Colombia. You still going to these places. And you tricking.
All my life.
What?
I have friends there. I've been doing it. Okay, I don't think you know my.
So Marquise, you telling me you ain't tricking in Colombia? Stop, nigga, stop.
Do you notice that the same girls with me all the time?
No, I see different women. They look different to me.
No, they all look the same, bro. Because it's the same.
Nah, they don't look the same. They look like some different women. I see some hair look darker than the other.
The only reason you see me in the
your wife must be listening right now.
My wife is like, she's Dominican. That's why you see me in the DR all the time.
Okay.
It's only like an hour flight.
So wait a minute. You want to talk about me being out of touch? Nigga, you should be out of touch too. But you're not because you up in there playing them games.
I'm going to be honest with you, man. I think you don't realize that there's a cause and effect. These guys wouldn't exist if there wasn't a problem.
Okay, I'm going to say this. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Those guys would not exist if they would not work on themselves, which is the problem. Yeah, the problem is them. They don't want to work on themselves. So what you want to do is pull women down because you're inadequate. That's your problem. That's not the woman problem.
I'm going to tell you something, though. As a guy who has traveled, remember, okay, I don't know if you remember my story, but I remember I told you, I got separated for 2 years. I got divorced from my wife for 2 years. That's when I kind of started dating around. Now,
right?
I met women from around the world, from Russia to Brazil to Colombia. I met all types of women, from poor to rich. Okay, I don't know if you remember, but the girl I was dating that was Russian was very wealthy. Okay, she wasn't poor. I was saying, like, so I can tell you from experience.
There's not a lot of rich. Was she living in Russia? Because there's not a lot of rich Russians. So okay. how you ended up on that situation?
She was a model. Okay, she was a model, and she spoke 5 languages. Like, okay, if she's traveling, she has money. Remember, I met her in Thailand. Remember that, right?
I'm listening to you, man. Go ahead.
Okay, out of all the girls I met, from German to Russian to Colombian to Filipina to the Brazilian to Dominican, all these girls had a feminine attitude that was nothing like the American black woman. That's the truth. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I've never.
That's not. Well, I don't know what world you living in because every black woman I ever met in my life, in regards to me getting together, they all was feminine. They was feminine to me. So I don't know what you speaking to. So I don't know. Do you understand? Look. Femininity don't mean you stupid. Femininity don't mean I just let you take advantage of me. You know, femininity don't mean I'm just gonna just give you everything you want of me and you give me nothing in return.
Mr. Derell, but
you don't understand, son. You don't understand what femininity is. That's the issue. And the guys that swallow the red pill and the black pill and the blue pill,
they don't look at themselves as being not the whole problem, but they don't look at themselves as being part of the problem.
Your method is going to get guys used.
No. What's gonna get guys? Let me tell you what get guys use. It has nothing to do with that. What get guys use is the fact that they have low self-esteem and they feel like they have to use their resources in order to maintain a relationship with a woman. And they don't value themselves. That's why they tricking. Like you, nigga, you tricking in Colombia right now, because with all these other women, because you can't get it for the free. So you're gonna give them a little $50, $100, and stuff like that, making them you balling like you lavish and shit in these little countries that the dollar can stretch. That's not impressing nobody.
Derell, if your mindset at work, if women were empathetic to that mindset, psycho candy wouldn't exist.
Don't, brother. Listen, it don't have nothing to do. It's how you carry yourself. Go ahead.
Hey, I want to ask a brother. I want to ask a brother, how many guys do you know personally that have been married, have hooked up with women overseas? How many guys do you know? Can you count?
Whenever Derell sees me travel a lot, I take my little cousins because they've heard stories about overseas and they don't speak a lot of Spanish like I do and stuff. So I take my little cousins trips a lot of times overseas. Every time you almost see me, it's me, my wife, and my little cousins. I don't put my family on YouTube like that because there's fucking weirdos on here. But
I agree with that.
No, but I'm asking how many people do you know personally that have successfully doing what you're doing as far as getting women overseas and are happy in relationships? How many people do you know personally?
Probably 10.
Okay. So 22 years in the military, I done traveled all around the world back again. And I'm gonna tell you, when we talk about black women's attitude, ain't no fucking way you gonna tell me Filipino women don't have no attitude. You know the shit that I've seen, them that have happened to white boys in the military. You talking about black women are bad? Man, ain't no fucking way. I've seen the worst shit. It didn't happen from black people in the military. I'm talking people just wiped out. Finances. They come home, all their shit is gone. I've seen some horrible shit. And it wasn't black women. I did military police for 2 years. I don't know where y'all be going overseas. But ain't no way. Look, go Thailand. That's like a cesspool. That's a cesspool. There's no fucking morals over there. You ain't no way in the world, man. Like it's like Sodom and Gomorrah, bro.
I'm gonna call you bluff, man, because I've been to Thailand a lot.
Bro, did you see that medical line on my ship 2 weeks after we pulled out? No, you didn't. That shit was long as a motherfucker. Long as shit. It was long as a motherfucker, dog. And some of them dudes was drunk, don't even know if it was a man or a woman. What are you talking about?
So you work military police, okay? You were MP.
Yeah. I've been to Captain Mass. I've seen the shit go on. I've seen motherfuckers get in. Listen.
I was police detective for about 8 years.
See, they don't want to talk about the dark side of the situation.
Bro.
They want to make this shit look like it's Disneyland and shit.
I can't get a word. I was police detective for 8 years, bro. If you're in that type of environment, that's what you're going to see a lot.
Bro.
You're going to see the negative.
Okay, so since you want to say that, why when I did my video on Charles Faulkner and with BGS, these Negroes kept talking about women in the hood, Section 8 hoes, women getting government. That's all these niggas said. That was their experience. So why is it when it comes to the travel shit, it's about where you at, but that don't apply when they talking about the type of women where they at in the United States. We don't talk about the quality of women these guys choose to deal with.
The moral code is something different. You ain't seen nothing until a woman reaches under her bed, like my boy was with this woman, and she pulled a big ass box and she dumped it on the bed. It's full of letters and I want to come back and marry you from Americans. And on top of that, because of the certain cultures, hell, you can meet a woman and their family live in a 1-bedroom apartment. Their family will get out of the bed to let you have sex with their daughter for money. Like they have a whole different mindset over there, bro.
No running water and shit. Y'all kind of shit ain't even up to date, depending on where the fuck she come from. Man, these women looking at you as a lick, Marquise. You a lick.
I don't know. Well, for one, Filipinos don't believe
you a lick.
So once they get married, they stay together. They don't get divorced. So I
They
don't
don't
know.
get divorced.
No, they
What
don't.
are you, Marquise?
I mean, I'm speaking from experience, man. I know.
Man, okay, Marquise. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this, Marquise. The reason why Black American women don't fuck with you is because it's something about you and how you act that they don't like. That's the reason. It got nothing to do with them. It got everything. It got everything to do with you. And you can go spend all your money. You go spend all your money going traveling to these places, and they looking at you as a lick. That's what you being looked up.
So I'm not traveling, bro.
I could get a Filipino woman on here right now who'll tell you that they got some motherfucking attitudes and they be going off on their motherfucking men. She'll get 100% real with you.
I'm just gonna be real
So
with y'all, bro. I just don't think you guys don't see the world for what it is now.
Yeah, I see the world for what it is. Marquise, how old are you, brother?
I'm 37.
You 37 years old, man. Listen, Marquise. Listen, man, I understand. Look, brother, listen. But what you doing is, I'm gonna say this. You got married at 27, right? So you, huh?
I got married at 23. Remember, I got separated for a while.
Oh, okay. So you got separated, but it was okay. So you don't never talk about that shit, but you talk about all the other wonderful stuff. You got separated for a reason. You got separated for a reason, but you ain't gonna talk about that. But listen, Marquise, look at it like this. You deciding to go abroad is a product of your failures in relationships. You don't have to do that to get women. You choose to do that.
Okay.
Because
if what you were saying were true, Psycho Candy wouldn't exist.
I mean, there's a Psycho Candy everywhere.
But hold on. But let me say this. I've told Psycho Candy that things he needs to improve on. I had interviews with Psycho Candy when I told him this is the reason why certain things happening. I had to tell Psycho Candy to stop. Psycho Candy did some stuff financially that with women, the same shit you doing, and I told him to stop and why he should stop. So you trying to talk about him, but you was no different. I know for Marquise, I know you sending money. Marquise, I know you sending money. Marquise, I know monthly you sending money to some of those women. You taking care of those women.
Bro, I'm on some real shit. I got a friend right now. Had a failed relationship, right? Him and his ex still cool, right? Because they got a daughter together. I'm talking for years. This man is so scared of black women. Every time he hit me up, there's a different picture of either a woman in Africa or a woman in DR. And it's to a point I'm trying to talk to this dude, and he's like, yeah, man, you see that dress? And I'm like, yeah, I get it. You probably bought it. He bought the dress. He paid for the nails. I'm like, how many fucking women have you done that shit to? Meanwhile, his credit's fucked up. He trying to save money. So I'm telling this dude what to do. Now he got a part-time job. He got a raise at his other job. His credit score is up. He's saving money. But guess what? He's still on the shit. Now he wants to marry a different woman. I'm like, what the fuck? Now you trying to bring a different woman over here? Oh yeah, her visa's almost. What the fuck? This nigga, look. He didn't buy a stove. This motherfucker bought an air conditioner from a woman in Africa he never even touched before.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you serious?
I kid you not, bro.
Man.
I kid you not.
You see the tricking ass shit that I'm talking about? This is what these niggas are doing.
And then he get mad and he cut him off, and he find another one, and they finesse him too. They getting nails, hair, clothes. I mean, all over the world. I mean, listen, you don't know that there's scammers everywhere, man. I mean, I know. Listen. I grew up in Jersey. I have tons of African friends. I have tons of friends from every different group, and they'll tell you there's scammers everywhere. Just because y'all see us as such and such, y'all have this picture of us. Look, it's some of them they trying to get away from too. So they ain't perfect. They're not perfect.
That's what I want to know, bro. Like, who are you
seeing? Let me go to information, man. What's up, brother?
What's going on,
hey,
bro?
what's up? What's up,
brother?
Hope everybody's doing fine.
I'm good,
I just have a couple of things I want to add here. I asked this question a couple of years ago of O'Shea, Dude Jackson, he interviewed me once, and I said that what I don't seem to understand when guys talk about getting women across seas, and I've got a passport, I've traveled, I've got family in Brazil, northern Brazil, Fortaleza. I don't understand why guys think that the women in those countries are better. If those women are better in countries that are Catholic, where they believe in getting married, in the Philippines, they get married early. Even in Brazil, the men marry their women. And if you go over there as a Black American or American and you see these women that are not married, then you have to ask yourself and use logic and say, why are these women not married if they're so damn good, better than Black American women and how they treat you? Then why haven't the men in their country who speak the damn language, understand the culture better than you do, why haven't they not married them? Well, I have this on very good information from my damn family. It's because those are the thoughts of their culture. And the men in that culture are not marrying those women because those women are known as prostitutes over there, or women of the night, or women are opportunists. And the men in Brazil know that. And the men in Brazil may use those women. Oh, another thing that y'all don't know, that a lot of the men who live in other parts of South America, like Argentina and other parts of like Colombia, they go over to Brazil and get those women and pay them for sexual exports. Y'all don't know that, but y'all going over there getting with them, thinking that they treating you well, and you're sleeping with women that have been sleeping with other men. And the Brazilian men in that country don't marry those women. And those women will use some of the brothers who go over there. They'll mingle with you, hope that you marry them so that they can come back to the States. I had a friend that I know personally this happened to him after he retired. They come back to the States with you, you married them, and then after a few years or whatever goes by, they divorce you. And then they got American citizenship, which they saw you as one big giant passport any damn way. Next thing you know, they're sending for their real boyfriend. They got a boyfriend or somebody they've been messing with in Brazil, and they're sending for him to come to America after they've gotten rid of your sorry ass. So I asked this question on O'Shea's channel and nobody could answer it. It got as quiet as a rat pissing on cotton. Nobody can answer that. If those women are so much better, why haven't the men who know the culture married them? Because those are the thoughts. And in their culture, I'm going to say this again, you got to look at their religious convictions. They get married. They're not like us over here in America where we play around and shit. They get married. The bottom line is, I just think this is about sex. Dudes go to other countries because they got more money that they can leverage over women that are poor, who don't have the money, so that they can impress these women, because it's all about a sex vacation. These Negroes are not going over to Brazil and other countries because they're looking to get married. They're just looking to have a good time with foreign women who they see as naive. Some of these foreign women are not stupid. They will play your ass as well if you don't know what you're doing. So I just think the problem is that as a black man, why is it that you have not been able to level up? When I came to YouTube, Derell, I never heard black men that I hung out with, Brother Nix, the black men that I hung out with in college and people that I've been around, we never sat around complaining about how we can't get the women to cooperate. Look, man, maybe I got a little advantage here. I'm a member of black fraternity. We used to run the goddamn yard. Okay? Right. We step on the goddamn yard. The women come to us. Right. We didn't have to chase them around. They come to our events. They talk to us. We spit game, whatever at them. We get with them. I never had these problems. When I come to YouTube, every Negro is crying and whining about women. And most of the women that they cry and whine about are women that they don't want. Women that are lowball women. Just like Brother Nick said. Why are we crying over women that you don't want? It's probably because maybe you can't get the women that you want because they don't pay you no attention. Real men who are confident with themselves are not on YouTube crying about women.
Look, you got to look at this whole, when you look at this whole Will Smith situation, right? You know, a kind of a square guy, right? He can't be the man. So what's the next best thing to do? He talked about his accomplishments, how he worked hard, you know, to prove to people, you know, and he's still trying to prove to people. So what he does, since he can't be the man, when he gets some type of success, he can at least be with a woman. And look what that's got him. She ain't want to get married. She ain't want to have kids. She crying about all the type of stuff. His dumb ass walking down the aisle smiling like she'd be all right. No, she ain't gonna be all right. She ain't want none of that stuff. So you're getting a reaction of a woman who don't want to be there in the first place. Sometimes certain people are out of our range. You got in the neighborhood, you got a nice guy, right? Since the neighborhood and propped up certain type of images, he's looking at the girl, the pretty popular girl that's with the drug dealer. He wants that woman, right? And he's complaining, I don't know why these women don't want me. Meanwhile, there's a good girl looking at him and saying, I don't know why he doesn't want me. So some of y'all looking in the wrong direction of people y'all shouldn't even be with in the first place. And you're mad because the women you want don't want you. They're not even in your lane. Instead of the IG girl, maybe you should be dating the librarian. I'm just saying.
Right. And I don't know what the age of people are on this panel today, but I'm a Gen Xer. I
47.
came up when the attempt to get with women was more difficult than y'all got social media now. Y'all got all kind of dating apps. There should be no excuse. I came up in an era where you had to walk up to women, spit your game, and if the woman wasn't interested, you had to wipe your back off and keep your shoulders up and keep moving because there was other fish in the sea. I grew up in that kind of environment where it was competition. I grew up coming through the 80s when all the light-skinned guys were getting all the women. I didn't use that to say, okay, I can't do anything. I think some of these guys in this newer generation, I think they're weak, man. I mean, because we came up at a time when we had to, get our spit game right. We had to, step up to women. Now these Negroes hide behind avatars and on YouTube crying about women and stuff like that. I wonder what they was like in high school, my God. Thank you, D. Derell.
God damn it. Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Go ahead. God damn it to you too. Shit.
All right, guys. Check it out. Check it out. You have a large group of guys who aren't having successful women here because things have pretty much changed quite a bit. So what is the issue of those guys going somewhere where they find it more success? Because they don't have an option here. If they're not winning, do you want guys to sit around for 10 years until they become wealthy? Because what's going to happen? I'm telling you what's going to happen. The same thing with my friends. My friends who had to build themselves up, who had to make a lot of money, they're not going to go back and pick the girls who didn't pick them. They're going to pick somebody else. That's what's happening.
How do you explain? Let me ask you a question, sir. How do you explain? Because I know I hear this a lot on YouTube. Well, you got to build yourself up, black man, make some money. How do you explain dudes who don't have a lot of money that's able to still pull women? Right, I know people like that who don't make this high value money that everybody keeps running off at the mouth about on YouTube, right? Because everybody ain't no damn high value. High value is a objective based on what that means to the people who care about you and what that means to your community. But how do you explain dudes who don't make that 6-figure salary, but for some reason they still got something about them that attracts women? No, somebody answer that damn question, or this gentleman right here.
Or them ugly dudes that have been pulling bad women for years.
Because I know dudes when I grew up who weren't the best looking dudes, but maybe they were good at dressing. Maybe they had a good spit game, something about them, and they were able, and maybe they were short, not that tall, but for whatever reason, they were still able to pull certain type of women. Right now, of course, if you got a lot of money, it's going to open the door to certain other type of women. That is true, sir. But I think it's not just how much money you make. It's other things that you have to have, other qualities, because you can have a lot of money and say, oh, I got a degree and this and that. And if that woman is not turned on, just like D. Derell, you talked about that video where the young lady wasn't interested in the guy who claimed to be a
nuclear
physicist, which I don't believe he was. Looking at his age, I think that was all talk, right? But everybody jumped on that video. And the reason why is because she didn't like his personality. You got to understand. See, this shows you that some guys don't understand the personality, don't understand women. Women are also attracted not only by what you do for a living, but your personality, the energy that you give off that feeds to them something that makes them say, I'm drawn to you. And if you can have a good job and all of that, but if you don't have personality too, that woman is not going to rock with you that long. She may take your goddamn money and she might be with somebody else while she's taking your damn money. But women are excited about personality, your energy that you have, your swagger, on top of all the other things that make you a successful man.
So
I
So
tell them to take their back
my
seat.
bad. Go ahead, bro. No, I was about to say. So is that why you got a lot of rich women sleeping with the gardener, sleeping with the garbage man?
Thank you, brother. Thank you. How often do we hear in the news scandals where you got very wealthy women messing around with the dude who ain't got no money, but maybe he got a nice body, he got swagger, and he's working as the damn gardener, the fix it man. Come on.
What about that? What about that? What about that story? I forgot where it was at. And I got to find that. What the guy got money? His wife is beautiful. She got busted sleeping with a homeless man in the car.
Right. How do you explain that? And what that tells us, gentlemen, is that we have a lot more to learn, not only about female nature, but about human nature. As humans, what makes humans be attracted to certain people who have money or don't have money? It's your aura. It's just you, man. And so, look, man, when I was in school, I didn't have no money. But most of the women that I dealt with were educated sisters, attractive sisters. I didn't have money. They knew I didn't have money, but we both were in school trying to make something of our lives. And I had great experiences coming up, in college in particular. And so it's different strokes for different folks. Some women are going to be into you. Some women are not going to be into you. Some women have interior motives, whether they want your money, the bag, whatever. It just depends on, what's going on. So, if you got to go across seas and meet a woman and that's working for you, okay, do what you got to do. But I think we got to be cautious because also you do know that they're doing our organ harvesting too, gentlemen. Where you get over there, a woman brings you back, you wake up, and now your damn organs are gone.
Well, we're trying to take advantage of cultural differences. I get that. When you go upstate, the culture is different, so you might be able to, get by on that. But it kills me when we talk about this stuff, right? And we talk about either gender or, different groups. Well, let's break it down to a human level, right? As humans, we have certain characteristics, men and women. So I just don't get it why we just don't understand that. So even in other cultures, you're going to have the same type of behavior. Men are going to feel some type of way. Women are going to feel some type of way. You just may be looking at the cultural differences. There's bad women over there. There's bad women here. And it's just according to your culture, how it may look. But even in that culture, like you said earlier, information, man, those men know how to recognize certain women. Due to our cultural differences here, we should know how to recognize certain women. So we're trying to compare the two culture differences. Okay, fine, you can do that. But if you can do that, then you also you should know how to find the good ones as well, just like they do. So if you're not in tune to that, then that'll tell you, and I keep saying this law of vibration and law of attraction. If you have a negative way of thinking, subconsciously, you're going to communicate that. And by attraction, that's what you're going to pull in. That's why you see day after day after day, people spending all day long talking about a group of people they claim they don't like, instead of outside focusing on something that they do want, something that they do like.
Well, let me ask you this question, brother. You said you were in the military and you've been overseas. You've seen a lot. I got to ask you the honest question. When you were overseas in whatever countries you were in, did you see a little of what I'm talking about? We should not be naive to think that the men in those countries, in that culture, don't have their own category for a thought. And we may not know what those thoughts are because the women come on to us. Did you see this in your travels? Could you see those nuances?
I sure did. And even now, if people do the research, these guys, they watch social media. They know what's going on. That's why the military the Navy, we went from just saying, hey, you can pull into a port and you can go out in town and come back when you got duty or when it's time to leave. They should just let you just go out and do whatever. They stopped that long time ago. You have to have a buddy system because they snatching us up. You know what I'm saying? They jumping us. They robbing us. They setting us up. They know what we come over there for. You can't go out by yourself nowadays. You got to have a buddy system. That's for a reason. It's for a reason.
Right. And another thing, I'm glad you said that because you have to take into account that the men in those countries may not be too thrilled with Americans coming over, trying to use their women, however they rank their women, as a depository, right? And they may get sick of seeing that and say, you know what, we're gonna snatch these dudes up, and we have to be dumb to think that they're not noticing that we're going over there and using their women. Even if it's their lower class women, they might still feel some way about it.
Yeah, there's documentaries on on YouTube, and there's videos on YouTube. Well, brothers going to different places and visit. I mean, they got YouTube too. They see this stuff, so they know what's going on.
Right. But
So
I'm gonna drop
why not take
down,
advantage of
to
my
each
bad.
his own what people want to do. Just be
Right.
safe,
Right.
do your research, and just be safe. But I wish we can go back to the old school days where dudes can just try to build confidence up and your ability to communicate and go for the women that you want with your confidence and your abilities. All this running away to this town and running away to this country. This is the thing, gentlemen. I'll leave you with this.
I'm back.
If you haven't changed the problems within yourself internally, all you're going to do is bring those problems to another country, to another country's women. If so, you think that the problem is if I just go somewhere else, I'm going to get great results. You got to change what's also wrong with you, because you just bring that American bullshit to other people's countries and they not feeling it. So, Derell, take care, brother, and take care of the next.
Hey man, you ain't supposed to be making too much sense, man. You know that's not it's not allowed, bro.
On YouTube you make too much sense. People kind of like have their criticism for you, but
Right.
these conversations are necessary. But that's why Derell, that's why I do not often join manosphere conversations where it becomes a wine fest.
Right.
And I don't have time for that. Why would I spend my time crying about women? Now, I've been on panels, honestly. Me and Nick's have been on panels where we have, conversations that are intelligent about male and female issues. Having those kind of intelligent conversations are excellent, right? Because they lead to a solution. Right. But in terms of just having this wine fest, I just don't have time for a wine fest. Why do I need to do this, Derell, when I can pick up my cell phone right now? And I'm not bragging, I'm just telling the truth. And I can call a female that I'm interested in and be like, what you doing, baby? Why? I can go kick it with someone that I like on a Saturday night. I'm not in a situation where I'm like, nobody's cooperating with me. Actually, Derell, as I've gotten older, I've actually turned down more opportunities with women because I'm not just looking to just have sex with them only. They may have something about them that just doesn't fit my personality. That's what happens when you get older as a man. You gain wisdom. You can have more choices to turn to turn pussy away if you choose to.
Women see getting older and more mature and more valuable.
Right. But see, that's where you want to get to a point as a man where you can turn it down because you still have options, but your options are not based on defining yourself by whether you have a woman tonight, because if that's what you want to do, you can do so. It's great to be able to have that ability to know if I want to indulge, I can. If I choose not, I don't have to, and I can still keep moving forward. But the problem is some guys don't have any options, and out of their frustration, as you know, as a therapist, they spill their mental health problems out on YouTube. Thanks a lot, brother.
All right, bro.
Right now, damn, he got off earlier when I wanted to because I was going to tell him something else, but we're going to meet again.
Right.
But, man, there's so many guys, man. People come up here, they'll say all these problems, and you find out they got a mental illness, they got these problems. I come on YouTube to express, no, that's not what you should be doing. You should be getting help. But he basically mirrored what I was saying. Like, you need to be working on yourself. See, notice when I told Marquise that about working on himself, and he didn't even want to listen. He was dismissive of that. I can't be the problem. See, that's the problem. See, that's the issue. The problem has to be her. It could never be me.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll go out and say it. It goes both ways. So, I know what the guy's gonna say, but here's the thing: you're a man. You should know men, because that's what you are. So, why try to hold a whole collective of women accountable when you're sitting around a bunch of brothers who don't even have their shit together? That shit don't make sense. It don't make sense.
Yeah, don't you believe? I want you to believe this. I don't know if you caught this. BGS said that the majority of his 40,000+ subscribers are making 80,000 or more. Do you believe that?
No. And a bitch be tired. Just Google on YouTube. Like black men traveling to DR. There's a whole bunch of.
I watch them all the time. I watch.
Yeah.
Black Male Travels. Master Teacher 1 with his silliness. Matter of fact, I got some content I'm working on to make fun of him next week on the stuff he be doing and saying. Like he just did a thing today talking about matter of fact, I think he was talking about the Philippines or Thailand, talking about how much you're gonna spend going there, talking about the housing, the things going on. He was basically talking about he loves to let people know as far as what the cost is going to be and what you're going to encounter when you go to these certain places.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. I mean, you got.
If you got to travel 1,000 miles to get a woman, man, that's hard, man.
Yeah, but you got like brother DeAndre. He'll tell you, his wife is Japanese, but he's over there, and he'll tell you like, because I'm over here, I have to know the difference. So I have to know, I can tell you there's a lot of women you shouldn't be dealing with. You got to be over here in order to really know how to select the right type of woman. But he lives overseas, and he'll tell you, listen, he got a different perspective. He'll tell guys like, some of y'all coming over, y'all green, y'all out of touch, y'all don't really know what's going on. And for a lot of guys that I know in the military, and I'm telling you, it's mostly white guys, because the black guys will sleep with them, but in large numbers, they're not marrying them. They target the white guys. I've seen it my first deployment. They're taking their money. I mean, they're
they got a dude named I don't know if you know Big Truck.
Yeah.
Man, Big Truck told me. I almost fell off the chair when Big Truck told this story.
Big Truck's funny.
Flat out, he engaged to a woman from the Philippines, I think. Right?
Yeah, Philippines.
This Negro said that he married her, bringing her to the States. He basically trying to bring the whole. They're gonna have a wedding in the States, right? This Negro coming out of his pocket to bring the whole family to the United States. The whole fucking family.
Yeah, you're gonna do that.
Huh?
You're gonna do that because the family will come. They come. Trust me.
So my thing is, this nigga is now. You want to talk about simping, nigga? The whole family, you coming out of pocket? That lets me know they got a plan to get them pockets. Ain't no goddamn way.
Bro, in the military, I'm coming from Jersey. I've never seen so many Filipinos. They all over the Navy. They all in the exchange. They all over because they've married largely to the military guys. I mean, all over you go to any military base, they're everywhere, bro. Yeah, they they know they got a plan. And I'm just saying, like, it's what they be doing to these white guys, man. It'd be so crazy.
They're killing them, man, and be having them press, and them dudes be up there about to leave and go AWOL and all that crazy shit behind these women.
Right, and ask these guys now. But when you ask these guys now, because we hear that Japanese women are submissive. I hear it all the time. And I got people, they like, man, not anymore. They ain't the same no more. I'm talking about white guys. Their wives ain't the same no more because they got a taste of this Western culture. It's a cultural difference. But I do know only a small portion of guys who wives are still the same. So that tells you that women are women and men are men.
Facts. And also you got to understand, these women dream and fantasize about coming here. And they're willing to do what they got to do to get here. And they got their family in mind. So they don't mind marrying you, doing everything you want, put their little 10, 12 years in, and then they will divorce you and go on by their business. And they're going to make a way for every last one of them family members to come here.
Right. So I guess we can't seem to think that Since we say women are hypergamous, we can't seem to think that women over there are not hypergamous. Like marrying somebody and find somebody better after you got yourself established here, and then they cheat on you and leave you for somebody who got more money. That shit happens all the time, bro.
Exactly. I'm like, dude, you better off going to the projects down the street and getting a cute chick and trying to wifing her up and show her some game to do different. You have a better chance with a chick in the hood that don't know nothing than messing with those women. At least that chick, I'm gonna say this. If that chick in the hood, yeah, she may have a mouth on her and say all kind of crazy shit or may do some shit. But if she think you worth the damn, she not leaving you.
Right.
She is not leaving you if she think you worth something. You worth keeping. She may do a lot of negative behaviors, but she is not leaving you. She not leaving you if she think you worth holding on to. Right. Women on average, particularly if you're not cheating on them, they not leaving a guy they think is believe in fidelity and honest. They'll put up with a lot of shit that you do bad if they know you ain't cheating on them, and you have the ability to take care of them and don't cheat on them. Those two things are the most valuable things that women look at. If they know you can afford they can live a decent life, and they know that you're gonna be faithful. Man, that shit go a long way. They would overlook a lot of shit if they know they can have that.
Well, the thing is, if you look at by gender, right, you'll have a group saying, man, you can't trust any of them, right? They make an absolute, you can't trust any of them. And then they get offended when the other side say, well, you can't trust any of y'all. It's like, so you think one side can't be trusted, but your side can. I mean, you're saying the same thing about each other. Once again, it goes back down to being individuals. As humans, we have certain characteristic traits. Now, when it comes to certain things, it may gear more toward one gender than the next, but it's still applicable to both sides. So you really have to be in tune with who you are. You have to be in tune and what you are. You have to be able to, observe. You know what I'm saying? Take it slow. Look, we made so many mistakes. I ain't gonna lie. Like, to each his own. Love who you love who loves you. Right? But I love black women. The only problem I have with black women is the ones that I choose that I shouldn't have chose. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah,
Other than that,
my experience with black women has been wonderful.
There you go.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah. But like I said,
I can't even relate to this shit, man.
Right. But like I said, that's my only issue, man. And it's not even an issue with black women. It's just in the past, I've chose the wrong one. That's accountability. I know I shouldn't have been with that person. It's just that simple. But ain't nothing wrong with black women. This is the one that you're choosing, the one that you're attracted to. Same thing with black women when it comes to black men. Right. If you keep tracking the same type of men, something's wrong. Switch something up. Start within yourself. Why do you keep like women who get abused? And they dated the same type of guy who done the same thing three relationships in a row. You don't wear a t-shirt that say, hey, I like to be hit, I like to be punched, but it's something about your energy that they pick up on. They know you. They know the predator knows his prey. So it's about that attraction. So once you start to change stuff inside of you, then the people around you, that landscape will start to change. When you listen to certain people, it doesn't sound the same no more. Certain things won't be the same. It won't feel the same. That's when you're changing, and then your environment will start to fit where your mindset is at. And I don't think people understand that. It's a simple concept.
Facts, man. So I'm about to go ahead and wind this baby up, man. Been 3 hours and 2 minutes.
All right, bro.
Any last words? Are you good?
No, I'm good, man. I just appreciate the conversation where men could stand on their own.
I see you. You be over there about Bomb Cherry channel, right?
I mean, I'm kind of stepping away from a lot of places, and I'm over there time to time, but I step away from a lot of places. I'm more on my channel, and I'm also starting to get out.
Man, I was just about to say, I noticed your channel. I've been watching your channel. Like, you just started a channel, right?
Yes, yes.
About how long ago?
I think the end of March, like March
Okay,
28th.
I started watching your channel. I think I want to say somewhere in May. It was like the middle end of May. I know for a fact I was watching it when I had COVID last month.
Oh, wow.
Because I had COVID, but so I was watching nothing but YouTube during that time. But I was like, damn, I ain't know L. Nixon had a channel, and I watched some of the stuff and your topics and stuff like that. But yeah, I watched like 3 videos. It was somewhere around maybe 3. I think I watched like 3, somewhere around 3 videos I watched since
Okay.
I want to say the middle end of May up until now.
Okay.
Yeah, but I am sub. I am sub to your channel.
I appreciate it. I haven't went live in a while because what I'm doing is that's why you hear me. Like Information Man said, we've been on the panel. So what I've been doing is I've been venturing out and I've been networking. I've been taking email of people, men and women, who I know can have the conversation because I'm interested in having the conversation. So I'm not trying to be distracted by stuff. So I'm trying to be more structured. So
okay. Well, appreciate you for coming in, man.
all right, I appreciate you too, bro.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right, peace.
All right, guys. It's been wonderful. It's been fun. I'm glad I did this live stream. A lot of people showed up and showed out. Appreciate you all for coming in. I got some good content. I got some pre-recorded stuff that I'm going to be doing next week. I probably won't go live until like Friday or Saturday of next week. Oh, I forgot. I'm going to go live Friday because I'm actually going out of town this week. I'm going to be back in my home state of Louisiana. I'm going to be in the boot next weekend, going to visit my family. But you all have a great evening. Enjoy your Saturday. Peace.